And in the stadium, the cheapest ticket was over $370. Now, this next one you could have watched for free, only because the pay-per-view had streaming issues, so they had to open it out. I'm talking about Tiger versus Phil in 2018, which was nicknamed The Match. Massive names and massive rivals going head-to-head. On paper, it worked. In reality, it didn't. The two players were mic'd up, so we all thought we'll get fascinating insight. We'll be able to hear them insult each other for 18 holes. But what we actually got was more heavy breathing and sniffles. And for two GOATs, the golf itself was bang average. And speaking of GOATs, let's end with Messi and Ronaldo. In 2023, an exhibition between PSG and the Riyadh All-Star 11 saw them share a pitch for possibly the final time. To be fair, it was a goal fest, which PSG won 5-4, and Messi and Ronaldo both scored. But it was obvious they were past their prime. El Clasico, this was not. And with it being in Saudi, there were more sports washing claims. So there you have it, exhibitions that have let us down. And I didn't even have time to mention the Community Shield.
Yeah, very good evening. This is the Transfer Insiders. We are on talkSPORT. It's Sam Ellard and the broadcaster Flex with you until 10 o'clock this evening, bringing you all the latest transfer news, rumours and done deals. Your transfer headlines this Wednesday evening. Liverpool are set to place an opening bid for Bradley Barcola. talkSPORT understands preliminary talks have already taken place, but suggestions that Barcola has already agreed personal terms are premature. Liverpool point to the fact he's only got 2 years left on his current deal. talkSPORT understands their initial valuation will be around £80 million. Meanwhile, Real Madrid have opened initial talks with Man City to sign Rodri, and Danny Welbeck has been given permission to undergo his Chelsea medical, while Brentford have confirmed John Henderson has left after a mutual agreement was reached to terminate his contract. talkSPORT's football correspondent Ben Jacobs is here at 7:15 for more on the day's biggest transfer stories. If you want to get involved this evening, 03717 223344 or text 81089. It is the Transfer Insiders, and we're on talkSPORT. Flex, a very good evening. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm enjoying the nice weather. It's good.
Oh.
Yeah.
30 seconds in and we're doing weather chat.
Yeah, we have to do it. Because there's been a lot of people moaning about it.
Yeah. You're like, let's embrace
just get that out of the way.
It's not often
Yeah,
we have a summer like this.
100%.
Yeah, let's enjoy the weather. And good. I mean, how are you coping? Okay. Have you got any strategies for anyone who are moaning and complaining about it?
Just enjoy and just remember that them horrible rainy times when it's pitch black.
Just
really
remember,
early
in about 6
really
weeks,
late.
it's going to be pitch
Exactly.
black, dark,
Enjoy it before it's gone.
Yeah. Although, like, is
obviously
it
look after yourself.
No, 100%.
Don't stay out in the sun.
Or is it a little bit weird that I'm I'm not unhappy about wearing a big puffer jacket again, and
Yeah, I get that.
I don't hate it.
Listen,
mate.
we like the seasons here, innit? We like the seasons, but I'm just saying when it's really nice and it's really warm, not dangerously, but it's nice.
Yeah.
I like it. It's good.
Okay,
It's good vibes.
Good. We will have another weather update with Flex maybe at some point later on in the show. But yeah, we're starting off Transfer Insiders. It's not transfer related, but it is hot, and our talkSPORT understands it's probably going to be hot, isn't it, for the next couple of days, right?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Flex, before we sort of get straight into transfers, it feels like we should mention, unfortunately, we have to say his name again, but Gianni Infantino. I know you've been on talkSPORT 2 this afternoon, so you would have been across this story. But to keep everybody across with the latest, that Gianni Infantino has given football associations until September the 19th to back his plan to sell off part of FIFA to private investors with a £30.1 million incentive to accept. FIFA announced yesterday it was seeking to launch FIFA Forward Enterprise, FFE, which would bring together the sale of FIFA's commercial rights, including broadcasting, sponsorship, ticketing, and licensing, with the operational delivery of its tournaments. Under the proposal, FIFA would raise up to £3.1 billion from external investors by selling minority non-controlling stakes in FFE, which it says would be valued at around £15 billion. Now, lots of people, Flex, have obviously had their say on this over the last 24 hours, but the latest idea to sell the World Cup to private investors is nothing short, is it, of an attack on this beautiful game. I mean, the World Cup is not Infantino's to flog, to sell, to get rid of. It's cliche, but it's true. It belongs, doesn't it, to football supporters. And just the idea of this going, football, the World Cup, going out to different people, new people, other investment, scares me. And we saw, didn't we, during the World Cup, some of the crazy things that happened, that was allowed, that wasn't allowed. How does this pan out, Flex, and how worried are you about the future of the World Cup of football if this was to go ahead?
It's a scary, bad monopoly on the game. You know, it's almost like a privatization of the game where we're going to take it. This is how we're going to run it, and you can't stop us. And just when you think that it can't get any worse at the top end of the game, like there was a lot of accusations being thrown around, a lot of assumptions being made, a lot of them rightly so, during this World Cup about certain things that happened. You know, some of the relationships that Infantino was having with obviously President Trump, etc., etc. It felt off. But during that, you're like, well, you know what? Football will win. The spectacle will be good. The fans will be happy, and we have to put up with this for 7 weeks, and then we can all go our separate ways. And then the ante just goes up. We thought the Super League was bad. This is another level, trying to do that, and then to actually blackmail. That's basically what it is. It's almost like a blackmail / bribing these other nations. You know, you think of, this is just off the top of my head, right?
Sure.
A football confederation of, let's say Curacao. We've just seen what they're capable of at the World Cup, how important the funding is for these smaller nations to get there.
Yeah.
Let's say, I don't know, again, off the top of my head, some of the Caribbean ones, Jamaica Confederation, etc., etc. The type of money that's on the table, you're almost asking them to part ways with their souls, to part ways with their morals, to be able to get in on this 40 million price that they would be getting, or you get cut out of the deal. You're not part of it. You don't get the money that's on the table. And now we're going to basically see who is strong enough to oppose this in numbers.
But that's what, but you know, you mentioned the Super League. The Super League, you know, when that became news for everybody, the fans obviously revolted against it. And the next thing we knew, the clubs almost sort of listened and then said, yeah, no, thank you. This isn't going to happen. Could the same thing not happen here with the FAs of whether it's England, France, Spain, Germany, the bigger nations? Could they kill this at a stroke?
Absolutely.
If they flex their muscle
in terms of,
said, no, we're not doing this.
Putting your money where your mouth is probably the wrong term to use with this situation. But in terms of making sure you're not just talking the talk, absolutely yes. But that's what we're also going to learn, Sam, because when things like this happen, and maybe UEFA want to say, we're going to use this as a chance to save football, we don't agree with this, but those are the guys that, you know, you're looking at what they're doing with the Champions League. Everything's about money. The commercialization of the game, the profits, etc., etc., things that go on way above our heads as fans for the very, very rich. That's what happens, right? So now we're going to find out who really wants to save football. Are UEFA going to walk the walk? Are they going to, is the English FA going to say, right, boys, I know we just had a disappointment.
We're putting our foot down
we just had a disappointment the other week against Argentina. Guess what? 2030, we're not going to be there. Do they have the cojones to say that? Are France, who are always tournament favourites and new manager with Zidane, they're going to say we're not going.
Yeah.
So
Flex, there's no doubt that whether it's England, France, Spain, Germany, the FAs could kill this out of stroke.
That's what needs to happen.
It's now whether they have the nerve almost, isn't it?
Yeah, because we can't just rely on Infantino to go, well, this wasn't received well. So
yeah, I feel like relying on Infantino to do anything logically feels like a brave move, right? Ben Jacobs will join us other side of the first break. He will talk transfers, but also we'll get his thoughts on this developing story. So I mentioned, Flex, at the top of the show that Bradley Barkla, Liverpool set to play released an opening bid for him. Real Madrid have opened initial talks with Man City to sign Rodri, Welbeck and Jordan Henderson continue to close in on a move to Chelsea. But some news that broke about an hour before we came on air is that Junior Krupi is expected to be out for 3 or 4 months with a foot injury suffered in pre-season training. The 20-year-old Bournemouth forward flew back from Austria tour and underwent successful surgery today. Departure this summer would never really expected to happen, according to sources at Bournemouth. But a massive, massive blow, though, for Bournemouth, because he was a real bright spark, wasn't he, last season? Even when Antoine Semenyo left the football club, he really, really stepped up in a season where Ryan came to the club, and it kind of took him a little bit of time to get his feet under the table. Special talent, blow for Bournemouth, and also maybe blow for some other clubs. I mean, Spurs were a club, Flex, that have been linked with him over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, this is a fantastic young player, 20 years of age. He scored 13 goals last year in the league for Bournemouth, and some of the finishes were incredible. He's one of the next ones up for sure. Like, he's a very special talent. And whether or not Bournemouth were going to sell him anyway for the right price, it remains to be seen. Obviously, that won't happen now with this bad injury. But this, make no mistake, I think this guy's heading to the top, this kid. I think he's special. I think he's got a lot about him. And you don't get players that young usually come into this league, especially forward players, delivering. With some, look at the goal towards the back end of the season he scored against City. Just wrapped it top. He's a special talent. So it's a sickener for Bournemouth to lose him for 3 months. But the counter to that is actually that the transfer speculation will go away now, at least.
Yeah, it puts that one to bed, doesn't it? Yeah,
it puts it to bed, and then he's got to get back fit again. So they're trying to hold on to the players.
Also, I think for him as well, look, we don't know. I'm sure Bournemouth weren't going to sell, especially given that they sold Semenyo 6 months ago. But I think for him as a young kid, having a real sort of breakthrough season, I think it's good for him to stay at Bournemouth and have another year there. Play week in, week out.
Yeah, you don't want to make the leap too early, do you?
And it's almost like he's 20 years of age. Yeah. I've got no doubt we'll have another good season. And those, that move to, with all due respect to Bournemouth, a bigger club, if it does come, it's still going to be there in a year's time.
Exactly. Well, look at that French conveyor belt, Sam.
I know, it's scary, isn't it?
He's an under-21 international for France.
He almost shouldn't be allowed to play for France, should he? Like, too many good attacking players, right?
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. He's in the under-21s now, but that production line of, okay, well, what happened when Doué gets old, when Barcola gets old,
and that's a long way away.
That's ages away. Then we'll go to Junior Krupi maybe when Elise gets old. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Look, in 10 years' time, he might get his opportunity to World Cup in 2040.
Yeah.
This is the Transfer Insiders. We are on talkSPORT. We'll take our very first quick break, and then when we do come back, talkSPORT's football correspondent Ben Jacobs will join us, and he will go through all of the day's biggest transfer stories.
I'm curious, Oliver, after that initial discussion where you said you were leaving the club and then you did remarkably well, you became the most successful manager Palace have ever had. Was there late on ever a discussion to try and keep you at the club?
No, I was very clear in my message, and I told the players before I announced it publicly. I told the players before, and I told them the same, because many had concerns. Can we end the season successfully? And I told them, if they now drop the standard, I would feel that I failed. Because this was always the message, don't do it for the manager, it just makes no sense. Do it for yourself, do it for the group, do it for the fans, do it for the club. And I think then winning the Conference League just showed that we created a different mindset, that we set different standards in the club, so that the players are ambitious, they want to play European football again, that they want to win silverware. And I think this was, for me personally, was the biggest achievement in this more than 2 years at Palace, that we really could change the mindset of the players and of the club, and that makes me proud. And so it was always clear to leave. But
A very good evening. It is the Transfer Insiders. We are on talkSPORT. Sam Ellard and Flex are with you until 10 o'clock this evening. Of course, the Commonwealth Games is ongoing. It is day 6 of the Games in Glasgow. Lots happening this evening. From 7, 8 swimming golds are up for grabs, which means there's lots for Georgie Heath to watch this evening. Evening, Georgie.
Hello, Sam. Yeah, 8 swimming golds and 11 athletics golds up for grabs. But we've also seen action in the 3x3 basketball. In the men's wheelchair, the defending champions Australia beating England in the final. But in the women's, England are currently leading against Scotland. That is coming to a conclusion very soon. So fingers crossed for the English there, unless you're a Scottish fan, of course. There's boxing going on too. We've had an English success for Ruby White getting through in the 51-kilogram quarter-final. There's weightlifting too. And over in the netball, New Zealand are currently taking on Wales before Australia versus South Africa gets underway later.
Commonwealth Games update on talkSPORT with BYD. Dare to dream with BYD and the Commonwealth Games.
If you want more on the Commonwealth Games, talkSPORT 2 is the place to be right now. Natalie Sawyer and Greg Rutherford, along with all of our wonderful reporters, are keeping you across everything happening on day 6 of the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. Let's now discuss the day's biggest transfer news with talkSPORT's football correspondent, Ben Jacobs. Ben, a very good evening, mate. How are you?
Good evening, I'm good. How are you?
Yes, good, thank you. Lots to talk about, Ben. Let's start with the news that Liverpool are set to place an opening bid for Bradley Barcola. But what PSG want and what Liverpool are willing to offer at the moment seems quite far away.
Yeah, there's a goal for valuation, but that's normal. PSG's starting position is £145 million. And my information is that in terms of the fixed fee, Liverpool are looking at roughly 80 million, maybe some add-ons on top. But that's the starting point. And knowing this is going to be a difficult negotiation because of PSG's starting position and the fact that they haven't signed Yan Diomande, Liverpool might need to be patient. And my expectation is it might run a similar course to Alexander Isak. And by that, I don't mean the player will agitate and go on strike. But what I do mean is with Alexander Isak, Liverpool placed what they thought was a fair offer early. When it was rejected, they waited until right towards the end of the window and the deal got done in the final hours. And you may note that Newcastle went from not for sale to 125 million, and somewhere in the middle, they were asking for 150 million about 3 weeks before the deal got done. So PSG's starting position, 145, very normal in deals for that to come down by 20 to 25 million. If Liverpool are prepared to go up by 10 or 15 million, suddenly the parties are not that far apart. So the first bid likely testing the water, and then we'll understand whether PSG are grandstanding or they genuinely believe that they can get over £20 million more than the deal that saw Morgan Rogers leave Aston Villa for Chelsea at 117 million.
But Ben, am I right in saying he's got 2 years left on his deal? And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys have been reporting that he's not going to want to sign a new contract. So I guess that's going to work in Liverpool's favour, right? If PSG know they've got a super talented player, but just with 2 years left on his deal, they could be tempted or maybe even want to get, a good price for Barcola this summer, and that could maybe sort of help Liverpool get that price down with 2 years left on his deal?
Yeah, 2 years isn't a long time. And also Liverpool were in talks for Barcola last year. And at that point, PSG wanted 85 million euros. So that will inform Liverpool's valuation too, because there's a year left on the contract. Barcola's not going to sign a new deal. That's the first point. Second of all, PSG don't want players that don't want to be there. So all of this will help. And yet PSG, rightly, I guess now, before they've even received a bid, are starting sky high, because if they don't, then it's not a negotiation. And Nasser Al-Khalifi and Luis Campos are going to be relatively tough to deal with. But the point here is we're in an inflated market. PSG will argue they've got a back-to-back Champions League winner and someone that only added their level of interest and ultimately value by scoring 3 goals and getting 1 assist at the World Cup. And we'll have to understand how high Liverpool are prepared to go. It wouldn't remotely surprise me if the first offer is in and around the 80 million euros, 20 million in add-ons that Liverpool tried for Yan Diomande. And then from there, PSG either have to go down or Liverpool have to go up to get a deal over the line. But I wouldn't be that fixated this early by the numbers. Liverpool take encouragement by the fact that there will be no new deal and Barcola wants to join.
Ben, it's been a quietish start to the window for Liverpool. Clearly a winger was needed with Salah leaving, so Liverpool fans will be happy to hear the news about Bradley Barcola. But if I go through that Liverpool team, I'd argue that A right back is needed. Frimpong struggled last season. Bradley's injured. Definitely a number 6. I thought that's as important as a winger. I thought Gravenberch struggled playing a bit deeper last season. I think someone to really come in and shield the back four is needed, and possibly even an argument that maybe another centre back as well. I know Xhake's come in from being signed in January. Have you heard anything else Liverpool might do this window away from Bradley Barcola?
Yeah, you outline it really well. Central midfield is going to be an area of concern. Some may depend on Curtis Jones. If the window shuts and he's still there, Liverpool might engage over a new deal. Alexis McAllister, question mark over his future as well. Liverpool really early, maybe in January, February, were looking at Adam Wharton, but there's nothing that's developing at the moment. They, like Manchester United and Chelsea, have made an inquiry on Manu Kone. Not sure at this stage that that's moving either, because for now, it is about finding that wide attacker. They can do multiple deals and spin multiple plates, and Liverpool would point to the fact that Xhake was always pre-agreed and they beat Chelsea to his signature, and Victor Munoz was kind of a hijack of sorts, beating Newcastle, although what people don't realise is that Liverpool were working on that for weeks and weeks and weeks before it appeared like Newcastle United were the front runners, and that's an indication that Liverpool won't be looking at the clock. They won't be looking at what other teams are doing. They'll back themselves in the next 5 weeks or so to get what they need out of this window, and then to judge it when the window shuts rather than right now, because now it appears like they're being slow. They're thin in defence. They're thin in midfield. They've not replaced Mo Salah. Even if Bradley Barcola comes in, he likes playing on the left wing, capable of both sides, but it's not an out-and-out Salah replacement. So don't be surprised if, to replace Mo Salah, Liverpool actually end up adding 2 players, one additional pacey wide attacker, and still potentially another central or creative-minded player that can add some goals. And then you think about Cody Gakpo also. He's a player of potential interest to Spurs if they don't get Savinho over the line. So we're going to see a few outgoings at Liverpool too, and depending on the volume of senior departures, that will inform just how much business Liverpool do between now and the end of the window.
Clearly loads for Liverpool to do there, Ben, that's for sure. I wanted to pivot to Manchester City. Rodri, what is the latest with his situation? We obviously know that Manchester City offered him a new deal. His contract runs out in 2027, but it seems like the Real Madrid president has opened the doors to try and get Rodri to the Bernabeu. And should that happen, what does that mean for Manchester City in terms of replacing him?
Well, I think Ayub Buadi is the one to watch. Sign him now, 100 million euros. That's the starting point anyway. Pre-agree or loan back to Lille because they want to keep him for another season. It could drop to about 80 million euros. But City, if Rodri goes, will obviously need another midfielder. Even if Rodri was to stay, Manchester City are still hoping to try and make another reinforcement in the centre of the park. And then the thing in the last 24 hours that's moved is Manchester City now have received official confirmation from Real Madrid they want to begin talks, and the clubs are in dialogue. At the time we're live, no bid yet. Sources in Spain say that Real Madrid are prepared to pay over 50 million euros, so 40 million or more. Manchester City's valuation, I can tell you, will be higher. And that's the point, coming back to Barcola. You can look at contract length, but Jan-Paul van Hecke went to Tottenham with a year left on his deal for 52 million. So even though they're different positions, Man City probably looking at that deal and saying, if Jan-Paul van Hecke is 60 million euros, then a Ballon d'Or winner and the best player at the World Cup
seems fair.
Should be much closer to 100 million euros. And this is the politics and the game of the negotiation. And in an inflated market, City's plan A, keep Rodri under all costs, either renew or just stay. But the plan B will be, if he is to get a move away because the player really wants to leave, suddenly they've got to be able to cash in and maybe offset that departure financially by generating enough money to get the Buadi deal over the line.
Usually, Ben, when there's situations like this, we see like a ripple effect, a domino effect that starts like a chain of reactions. So I'm going to bring in my team, Manchester United here. But you know where I'm going to go with this. Should Rodri go to Manchester City, would that open up the door for Manchester United to potentially look at somebody like Aurelien Tchouameni / maybe a Camavinga, because maybe there's not enough space for in that midfield with Valverde, with Silva, etc., etc.?
Yeah, they'll need outgoings, Real Madrid, that's for sure. Perhaps not to the tune that we first thought if they were going to come in for Enzo Fernandez, because you still would expect Rodri to be somewhat cheaper than Chelsea's £120 million, not euros, asking price. A lot of questions about Man United and Aurelien Tchouameni. Two things to say. One, there is this verbal agreement in principle for Tchouameni to extend until 2031. The bizarre part of the story is Real Madrid haven't announced it yet, and you would think they want to celebrate that, and that's why many fans, probably including yourself, are putting two and two together in saying if Rodri comes, Tchouameni could be sold. My information is that Jose Mourinho was the one driving Tchouameni to extend, and he would have no issue tactically playing Rodri and Tchouameni together. So there's a glimmer of hope, but it's still price dependent regardless of Rodri's potential arrival. Camavinga is another player that could depart. Question mark over Vinny Jr., two extremes there. He'll either extend and quickly, otherwise Arsenal will gain confidence. Real are optimistic they can find a solution to keep him, but if he doesn't sign, they risk losing him on a free transfer in a year's time, and then maybe the club preference will be to sell, because remember, Yan Diomande can of course play on that left-hand side as well. Brahim Diaz is another player that potentially could depart. You've got Garcia, long linked with Fulham, Gonzalo Garcia, because there's two Garcias. Fran Garcia has already departed. So there are options and possibilities, but Real Madrid are going to have to raise some capital because they've already spent quite a lot in the market, but also think about squad space, because Jose Mourinho won't want that playing squad to become too inflated.
Ben, what else is catching your eye this Wednesday evening?
Well, Junior Krupi underwent successful surgery today on a metatarsal, devastating blow for Bournemouth. It occurred in pre-season, surgery in the UK. He's out for 3 or 4 months. It doesn't really change much in the market because Bournemouth's stance was always the player is not for sale. Barcelona, Arsenal, Tottenham, Man City, all clubs that have inquired to some degree. But now we can say definitively, because of the injury, he's not moving anywhere. But honestly, I think that was always the case. And then we also have to keep a close eye on a couple of bits of movement outside of the Premier League that have impact on some of our clubs. The first is Juventus have reached an agreement in principle with Bayer Leverkusen for Kerim Alabegovic, and this was a player that Chelsea were in for. So do they now look for another young attacker, likely a project kind of player for Strasbourg or one for the future anyway? But the fee here is pretty big, 33 million euros and 7 million in add-ons. And then Juventus are also now close to signing PSG's Randal Kolo Muani for a total package of 45 million euros. Then Forest are in advanced talks for Ousmane Diomande. I'm expecting that one to move. There's confidence on all sides. And along with Danny Welbeck, medical pending, off to Hong Kong, 2-year contract, as we broke yesterday on talkSPORT. Jordan Henderson today terminating his contract by mutual consent. There was a gentleman's agreement in place with the club that he could do that for the right opportunity. Really classy act by the owner, Matthew Benham, and the Brentford hierarchy to allow Henderson out of his contract when they could, of course, have got a fee as per Welbeck and Brighton. And Jordan Henderson, even though he's got multiple offers, is now expected to sign a 2-year contract at Chelsea.
And Ben, just away from transfers, clearly a massive story in the world of football. You've been right across it. The Gianni Infantino has given football associations until September the 19th to back his plan to sell off a part of FIFA to private investors with a £30.1 million incentive to accept, the letter has revealed. What have you made of everything we've learned about over the last 24 hours, Ben?
How long have you got?
Wow.
20 seconds.
No. The floor is yours, Ben. Take it away.
So UEFA will hold an emergency meeting on Thursday to discuss this FIFA Forward enterprise. And in essence, in layman's terms, it's the creation of a parent company overseeing operational and commercial matters. And to fund it, it needs minority investment from private equity to the tune of over $4 billion. So to many, including federations out there and no doubt fans, this is the capitalization and privatization of FIFA. It is corporifying the beautiful game when, of course, as the Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, has said, and I would agree with it, it should be public and free and accessible and transparent. Infantino has had backlash from UEFA, from CONCACAF, from various senior figures within football, even some of his closer allies, and yet some are saying no to the proposal. Others are just questioning why hasn't there been a consultation period. Infantino has doubled down and he said there will be discussion, but I want to know if you're in or out by the 19th of September. And in a letter to all 211 federations, Infantino has promised them 2 different payments if they effectively join of $20 million each. So this now becomes a vote winner because many of the federations see that money and that's enough for them to wave this through. If it gets to the point of going to a vote, it only needs to pass by 1, a majority. But now key is going to be UEFA's response, because my understanding, speaking to a senior UEFA source, is that this whole debate is going to be almost a vote of confidence or no confidence for Gianni Infantino before March's election. And if UEFA continue to be unhappy or they can't in any way shelve this, there's a possibility that they might put up a viable candidate to stand against Gianni Infantino at the next FIFA election, as we revealed a couple of weeks ago. And now UEFA are doubling down on that position because Gianni Infantino, even if he's making money and argues that FIFA is not for profit, is starting to lose with these ideas some of his core supporters because he's not being transparent and engaging with them.
Ben, nicely summed up. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thanks a lot.
That is talkSPORT's football correspondent Ben Jacobs. And of course, if there are any further developments on that massive story, Ben and talkSPORT's chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, will keep you across all of it. It is 7:30. It is the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. I am sat alongside Flex, big Manchester United fan, of course. So guess what? We'll talk Manchester United next.
It has gone crazy, but I think that you almost have to just suspend your reality.
And not the worst things about this crazy spending. How many in the history of the Premier League have actually landed?
No, that's true.
One.
I would say of
Virgil
the most
van Dijk. One
of the most expensive players in the Premier League. Like Romelu Lukaku is on that list twice.
Yeah.
And he failed twice. Paul Pogba is on that list.
Yeah.
Failed.
Harry Maguire's not failed, but
yeah. I mean, Andrei Shevchenko at one point would have been on that list. Failed. Fernando Torres at one point would have been on that list. Failed.
Yeah.
There are countless examples of players who have moved for huge amounts of money, come with that level of expectation. And
Declan Rice has lived up to it.
Declan Rice has most certainly lived
still
up to
too much, but he's lived up to it.
Well, Declan Rice is actually an interesting one because I would argue that if there is a £100 million player, Declan Rice is it. Declan Rice.
That's 100 million.
I think Declan Rice.
Cricket balls are red, baseballs are white, American footballs are brown, and tennis balls are yellow. We don't even think about it really, but the story behind the tennis ball is actually quite interesting and even involves Sir David Attenborough. I know, here's the tale. Tennis has its roots in 12th century France when people used to make balls from all sorts. Cork, wool, chalk, animal fur and even human hair. Uniformity was found centuries later when people started making balls out of something called vulcanized rubber, invented in the US. But the balls kept on breaking, so a British lawyer, who also loved tennis, suggested they put a flannel covering on the outside, and thus the tennis ball as we know it was born. One problem, it was either white or black. And when the controller of BBC Two, Sir David Attenborough, decided Wimbledon would be shown in colour on the BBC in 1967, no one could actually see the balls on telly. So the International Tennis Federation went away and created a new colour called Optic Yellow, which would show up without the need for a 4K LED display. Not that anyone had that in the 1960s, of course.
A very good evening. You are listening to the Transfer Insiders. We're on talkSPORT until 10 o'clock this evening. Sam, Ellard and Flex bringing you all the latest transfer news, rumours, some done deals. Maybe we'll get some done deals tonight, Flex. How about that?
Fingers crossed. Man United's way, please.
Yeah, you want some Man United done deals, please.
I want a bolt out the blue. Confirmed. Done.
A complete bolt out the blue.
I want an Ornstein
now and
special.
10 PM, yeah.
I was hoping Ben would have done something there.
No. I
needed a bit more. But that's just me being selfish.
You can't beat those ones, can you? Which, like,
Love
you
it.
don't know about.
Like the Euro
and then
one the
all of
other
a
week.
sudden it comes out of nowhere and it's like, okay, yeah, that's done. Happy days, right? Yes, breaking news, Flex. I can confirm Man United have not signed Vinicius Junior. He's probably still going to Arsenal, isn't he? Probably, maybe. Look, Champions League football is back, isn't it, at Old Trafford next season. Man United finishing third last season, of course, the year where Michael Carrick came in, interim until the end of the season, replacing Ruben Amorim. Look, you have got some guys through the door. Andre Santos signed £50 million from Chelsea. Yuri Tielemans activating that release clause in his Aston Villa contract of £35 million. Don't forget Cole Darlow as well.
Yeah.
You can't beat the free English backup goalkeeper, which every club has to sign every couple of years. It's got to be done. Tick off the quota. But in particular, Andre Santos, Yuri Tielemans, clearly midfield was an area United need to improve from last season. With those two players through the door already, are you happy with both of those signings?
I think it's steady going. I'm really happy with the Yuri Tielemans signing. I think that's a very tactile signing, a very opportunistic signing with his release clause being that cheap.
I think he's a top player, Flex.
100%. He's one of the ones who goes under the radar as one of the top midfielders in the league. Like he is. Obviously, you've got people that are at the forefront for the big clubs. No disrespect to Aston Villa, but he's been performing extremely well. Villa fans will tell you he's been extremely consistent. He's helped Villa be extremely consistent under Unai Emery and go to another level. And he's a top player. He can play through the lines. He's not scared on the ball. He's calm on the ball. He's got experience. He's Belgian captain.
Yeah.
And he's kicked on from how good he was even at Leicester.
But that you mentioned there playing through the lines. That is his biggest attribute, no doubt about it. Super comfortable in possession. You know what? I love that if he gets balls to feet and a couple of players are trying to press, win the ball back up. He's that sort of player. He's always calm, always in control. Can play through the lines. Can play through the press, and just super comfortable.
We don't have enough players at United that are comfortable with the ball.
Have you got enough legs in that midfield?
As it stands, no. I would say that is what concerns me, and this is where it's hard to commit to. Are we on a good track? Have we done enough? Are you happy with the business? It has to be a so far vibe because Manchester United need somebody who can get about the pitch. They need somebody combative. They need somebody powerful who can travel with the ball, shut opposition down, and be more combative. I think Andre Santos in small spaces is good. I think he passes forward as well. I wasn't too sure about that signing. Didn't really make too much sense when it was him and Ederson.
What are his biggest strengths? What will he bring to that Man United midfield?
From what I've seen of him, it is, and factually with stats, is that he does pass forward.
Right.
Even in the first couple of pre-season games, I've seen glimpses of that. He does play the simple first pass. You know that in coaching, sometimes say your first pass is your best pass. Play that pass, and it's not magical. It's just forward. I like that about him, and he does bring a little bit of tenacity as well. He's no Kante. He's no, he can't get about like that. He's not Elliot Anderson. He ain't got an engine for days like Rice. But I do like that signing coupled with Yuri Tielemans. But the third midfielder, Manchester United absolutely need a third midfielder. I don't want to be sitting in a situation where Mason Mount's been playing a little bit deeper in pre-season. There's talks, he's not going to go anywhere. There's talks that we can use him as that, but I don't want to be relying on that. Manchester United need to be aggressive and make sure we go and get a third midfielder.
So when you look, though, at the moment of the balance of the midfield, let's say it's 4-3-3, 4-2-3, and Bruno obviously playing further forward as the 10. In terms of the two midfielders that go behind him, obviously you've got Kobbie Mainoo, we shouldn't forget that. The two new boys have come in terms of Tielemans and Andre Santos. You mentioned there you want a midfielder who's got legs, who's a runner. What do you think Michael Carrick, or how do you think Michael Carrick will try and balance that midfield three?
As it stands now? Or just with even including the third?
Let's say you get the third in.
Well, if the third has got the legs, a lot of people are talking like that's the one that should be the starters. We've built ourselves up as Man United fans to sort of like a marquee signing. But actually that word I think is a bit redundant. Like we thought that might be Elliot Anderson. We thought that might be
Balaber's the one you've been linked with for
Balaber, exactly. So now we're in the realms of Manchester United fans that we're kind of expecting a marquee signing. I personally want Balaber. I'm not put off by the fact that last year he had a dip because he wasn't as good as the year before that. A lot's happened. He's 22 years of age. Andre Santos is 22 years of age. And a lot of people are saying he looks bright at Chelsea. He's doing well. He's got a high ceiling. I think the same with Balaber. And I think the profile of him is what works. I think you have Kobbie Mainoo starting. and we're not wedded to this, but just off the top of my head, I would say Kobbie Mainoo's starting. For me, if you've got a Belaber in there, he's got legs, he can get about the pitch.
That's your midfield three.
You put him in there. And then
I guess what's important for the next season is that you need options, don't you? The fact you go Saturday, Tuesday, you want to be able just to bring in players in and out and not have a detrimental effect.
What we can't get into is this player must start or that player must start. We just need options, mate. We are hopefully going deep into all the competitions and not being an embarrassment like we were last year, going out of the cup competitions very early. We did really well under Michael Carrick from January to May, but that we can't kid ourselves. We have to be equipped for the demands of this season. That's playing 50, 60 games, hopefully, if everything goes to plan. So we just need a plethora of options in that area with a variety of different profiles. So that's why I don't mind that there's a Santos in there who's a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more simplistic. I love that there's a Yuri Tillemans in there who wants to put his foot on the ball. He can freeze the game. He can speed the game up. He can spot a pass around the corner very, very quickly. I'm looking forward to seeing him linking up with Bruno. Then you got a Kobbie Mainoo in there who brings a calming influence as well. And then we need a chief operator in there who's aggressive between both boxes, or box to box, should I say. So it's all about profiles and building a midfield department rather than this player has to start, that player has to start.
Elliot Anderson, £160 million, ended up going to Man City. Sandro Tonali, combined package, going to Spurs for around £100 million. And also Mateus Fernandes as well, went for big money for Spurs. All three players you guys were linked with, all three players you walked away from the deal. It feels like maybe a couple of years ago with a couple of those players, maybe Tonali, Mateus Fernandes, whether it was £85 million, £90 million, it felt like you were just going to go for it and bring that player in. Have you been impressed? Do you like how United have maybe changed their strategy a little bit this window? Big clubs spending big money on players, and United have gone, you know what, we're not going to get into a bidding war, we're going to walk away from that, and there'll be other deals that are on the table for us.
Well, I have been impressed by it. Man United, we've been in a position where we've spent a bucket load, a lorry load on players and been laughed at because we bought the wrong ones. We've been laughed at because we can't sell them. We've been laughed at because they're on extortionate wages. And it's as simple as this. Ineos have come in, looked at the finances, said, this is not sustainable. This is not sustainable. It's now our era to kind of, yes, you're going to have to take some painful signings where you look at other teams sort of spending, but you got to keep your own house in order. And in order for us to be sustainable, and I'm not pleading poverty here, but in order for us to get back to being competitive and build a decent squad, we have to do exactly that, build a squad. Right now, Manchester United, we don't really have, or we're not able to. I don't think we should be spending £117 million in one position. If you're going to tell me, then we don't get two other midfielders. We don't get a left back. We don't get a left forward. We don't get a striker. It's all about building a squad that could compete on multiple fronts. And if we have to take what we do as Man United fans is we say we want that change. We say we want to go through not wasting money, not going for just the big marquee names. But then when it comes to it, the stomach for it is a little bit different. Now, ultimately, time will tell whether it's a good decision for Manchester United to basically go strong in the opinion of we're not being dictated to by the market. We're doing things differently around here. So when we get to May, if Tillemans has had a great season, Santos, and we've achieved our level, then we say, right, well done, Ineos. I get it, though. We're football fans. If it doesn't work and you see Spurs spend sort of 200 million on a new midfield, you see Morgan Rogers go to Chelsea, you see Arsenal spend big, let's say you see you spend big on Barcola at Liverpool, then all of a sudden we don't praise those decisions. So we have to wait and see. But there had to be a change. And Manchester United fans get criticised for this all the time. When we've been in for the big players, if we tried to sign Vinicius Junior tomorrow, people would be saying, look at Man United, don't learn, get in a superstar.
Maybe not with Vinny Junior.
No, but I'm just saying though, they need to build a squad.
Yeah.
If we signed Vinicius,
that's
Junior,
important, isn't it? Building a squad this year is so important.
Sam,
Not playing 40 games.
If we bought Vinicius Junior but didn't invest properly into midfield,
people will say,
everyone would be saying, what
dereliction of duty, dereliction of duty. Midfield.
Then we opt to go a little bit more astute. Now it's, are they showing enough ambition? Which one is it? We have to pick one.
How will the defence look next season? Because Luke Shaw, kind of, left back last season, absolutely brilliant. But kind of across the other parts of the back four, I feel like lots of players are either out of form or injured, right? De Ligt spent a lot of the season injured. Martinez spent a lot of the season injured. Certainly when Ruben Amorim was there, Lenny Yoro was in and out of the team. A lot of United fans maybe think you need an upgrade at right back on Dalot. How would you like to see the United back four look next season, or the players you've currently got in the squad from last season? If United are to make, the next step next season, which is, maybe really competing for the league title, how many in the current squad are good enough to be starting next season?
Well, the problem that we've got is the experienced ones like Martinez, Maguire, and De Ligt.
Always injured.
Can't stay fit. You can't. We're trying to build a squad or a back four in this case, in this discussion, that's reliable, that's available. And so far, they've shown us that between the three of them, there's a lot going on injury-wise, and we can't afford to have that this season. We're in too many competitions. Now, Lenny Yoro...
Is he ready for next season?
Who, Lenny Yoro?
To be a regular week in, week out?
It depends how much he's developed in the summer. And
the pause makes me think the answer is no.
No, because it's difficult to say. He could go on to have a really, really positive season. He's young, and his confidence has been knocked. Aiden Heaven is another one.
He played lots.
And he's been brilliant for just over £1 million from Arsenal. For me, we need a left back, and I'm saying we need to go hell for leather for Lewis Hall. Go in there. It's already very turbulent at St James's Park.
Flex, I did
and get
I
Lewis
did a show on the weekend.
It's not gonna be easy.
I did a show with Mickey Greer on the weekend, talkSPORT's Manchester correspondent. Didn't quite claim it to be an exclusive, but he said with quite a lot of authority that he believes he's been told that he's going to be a Man United player for next season.
Well, I hope he's right. And Andy Mitten's been talking about this, that he is a player that Manchester United like. Listen, he's on the list. That's fine. I get that. Monitoring FC, on the list FC, internally liked FC. I get all of that. All of that jargon. Go and get Lewis Hall. Now, listen, Newcastle United fans will be listening to this saying, you can't get him. What are you talking about? Ollie Klink will probably be listening, probably on my phone. My friend Matty Renton, big Newcastle United fan, they will be saying, absolutely not. And I get it. Listen, the Newcastle hierarchy will have a decision to make. You've seen Tonali leave. You've seen Gordon leave. You've seen potentially Bruno Guimaraes is going to leave. It's going to look very bad optically if you let Lewis Hall leave. But I'm saying Manchester United, be ambitious. Luke Shaw played every Premier League game last year. Didn't play in any of the cups, and we went out of them early anyway. We can't rely on him to do that again. Lewis Hall is a modern-day fullback. That is what your left-back should look like in 2026. And I'm saying go all out for Lewis Hall.
Go and get Lewis Hall, says Flex. That's the incomings then at Manchester United. And Man United fans, if you want to get involved in the conversation this evening with Flex, give us a call on 0371 722 3344. What are the expectations for United next season? Back in the Champions League, is this going to be a United team ready to compete for the title next season? Coming up next, we'll maybe take a look at some of the United players that might be on the way out, including Marcus Rashford. Good evening, it is the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. Sam Ellard and the broadcaster Flex with you until 10 this evening. Going to carry on the United conversation in a second, Flex. But Tolo Arakadore has joined Ajax on loan from Wolves for the rest of the season. He was, of course, the player who recently forced a Wolves training session to be cancelled after reportedly refusing to leave the pitch. In the Wolves statement on their website, when announcing that he's left the club on loan, it was quite salty. The 25-year-old joined the club last September from Genk before playing 38 times and scoring 6 goals. 3 of those strikes were in the Premier League, the latest coming in March against Brentford. Although he featured on the final day of the season, he started just 1 of the club's last 10 fixtures to conclude the campaign. Now he joins an Ajax side, which finished 5th in the Dutch top division last season and will play in the Conference League this season, should they progress through the playoffs. Which
they're just stating the facts.
Yeah, they are stating the facts.
But you know what's going on.
The fact they mentioned the end, should they, you know, it's all.
But hold on a second. They're in a championship, mate.
No, sure. But I love the fact that I think Wolves, and I might be sort of being a little bit out of line here, so apologies if I offend anyone at Wolves. I think they're basically trying to say he wasn't that good for us last season.
We don't care.
And he's joining an Ajax team who aren't actually that good anymore.
Yeah, well, he's going to say, I'm joining a giant of European football. Not like in terms of,
you could have worded
name, in terms of stature.
Like our centre forward was going to go and play for a European giant and get the experience. But no, they basically listed off some bad stats, which showed he didn't score many goals for them.
That's crazy.
And he's playing in the Conference League.
Saying only 3 of those goals came from this type. That is nasty work. But if what we're led to believe is true about how disruptive he was being. Yeah. But I'm a bit rebellious like that. I was like, fairs. Yeah. We don't know what conversations. We was on that show, weren't we? Was that? I think I was talking to you about it.
Yeah.
And I was saying fairs. Like, we don't know.
You like it?
As fans, we don't know what conversations have been had.
Maybe he was promised a move or something.
Exactly.
Like that,
So he said no.
If you want that move,
training's not going on.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're all training pretty calmly now.
Well, the fact that they're training full stop is pretty good because no one's sat on the floor preventing training. There we go. Arakadore joining Ajax on loan and will play in the Conference League next season. Flex. Should they qualify, obviously. Important information.
Well, at least they've got the opportunity to be in Europe.
Oh, there we go.
Instead of getting relegated.
There we go. Yeah, they're not playing in the Championship next season. Earlier today on talkSPORT, our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, joined Ollie Klink and Charlie Baker. He said he wouldn't be surprised to see Spurs come in for Marcus Rashford.
Marcus Rashford, do you think? Cricky, I've had a few people connecting the two.
I'm just not sure Marcus Rashford is a Mikel Arteta type player. If you look at what he's done and why Arsenal have been so successful on his tenure, he weeded out the sort of problematic characters from the dressing room. So I'm not sure that he would necessarily welcome Marcus Rashford with open arms. I think if he goes anywhere in London, I'm keeping an eye on Tottenham. I could see that deal happening. Roberto De Zerbi believing that he can get the best out of Marcus Rashford. You say a cheap deal. I think probably an offer of £30 million will be accepted by Manchester United, but you have to factor in he's on £325,000 a week at Old Trafford and doesn't seem too willing to take a pay cut.
Flex, where's Marcus Rashford going to be playing his football next season?
I think he's going to be playing his football at Man United. I do. I'm very shocked by it, very surprised by it. But I just think the way that the landscape has gone for him and Manchester United, who of course would probably prefer that everybody goes their separate ways, just hasn't transpired that way. And he's a Man United player. He's paid an awful lot of money, and it will be another position to not have to sort out. Now, it might split the fan base. Some people, it'll be quite difficult for some to see him back after some of the unsavoury scenes on his way out. But a lot of Man United fans will get over it very, very quickly and give him a warm reception. And he's going to be, if he does stay, under a manager who's played with him,
knows him well,
coached him, knows him well, would definitely put an arm around him and try and get that confidence. I think it feels a little bit like a Groundhog Day though, as a United fan with Marcus, because listen, Manc, born and bred, he's come through our academy. He's had an amazing career at United, but he hasn't found that consistency. That's been the biggest problem. And then when it's gone a little bit wrong, some things have happened off the pitch, training or lack of, nightclubs and stuff, and just some things that he will definitely regret. And also, there's been a lot of change at the club. I don't buy into this that he's like a permanent bad egg. It's like a stain. I don't really buy into that. Like, there were people laughing at the fact that Marcus Rashford thought that after being in the United bomb squad the season before, how on earth is he going to go to Bayern or Barca? Who does he think he is? Gone there, won the league. Scored quite a lot of goals. Did well for them in the Champions League.
I'll be honest. So I'll hold my hands up and say I was one of those.
I know.
Because I think Rashford did. It almost felt like he had maybe kind of at United failed upwards a little bit. Because I found him. I found him a really, but even just not the off-pitch stuff, even on pitch, just as from pure the eye test, watching him as a footballer, I found him an incredibly frustrating, inconsistent footballer. He'd be the sort of player that on his day could be really good, really dangerous, but it just felt like at United, I'd watch him too often put in the same type of performance. You see him cut in on his right foot, and then there'd be too many defenders on the inside. He'd go on the outside and maybe overrun the ball a little bit. So when his time at Man United was coming towards the end through to inconsistent performances, and there was some question marks at the time about his attitude, maybe his commitment to football, when I saw Barcelona come in for him, that did surprise me. But I'm also then happy to admit and hold my hands up and say fair play to him, because he went there, he knuckled down, and 100%. He had a really, really good season. I think it's also fair, you make a good point. I don't think he's a permanent bad egg.
He's not.
He maybe had a year at United where maybe he lost his weight a little bit, but he's played a lot of football at United, and you'd have to say for the majority of his time there, he was, professional and gave his all for his boy.
It's the fluctuation of his performances. It's very difficult to nail down and assess Marcus Rashford properly. And he's not a kid anymore. He's in his prime years, and he hasn't been as consistent as he should be. But Marcus Rashford is not a rubbish footballer. He's not a crap player. Like, he's not. But it does depend on what Marcus is thinking and feeling in his head, because if he's not in the right headspace to come in and have that humble side and work hard and know you're not an automatic starter on the left-hand side, we've got Cunha. Dorgu's now becoming a left winger. I'm not saying that Rashford's not better than Dorgu, because he is. But in terms of just waltzing back in like nothing happened and expecting to be the main man, it's not going to be like that. But I honestly think that sometimes as football fans, we just hyper-focus on this. This isn't going to change. It's going to be terrible. Football's a very fickle sport. It can change very, very quickly. Marcus Rashford starts scoring goals, or at least coming off the bench and putting in a shift and playing well, it will all be forgotten about.
Do you think, if you had to guess, do you think Marcus Rashford will want another crack at Man United, or do you think he thinks, I had my time there, I went away to Barcelona, enjoyed myself in a new league, a new culture.
He wants to be at Barcelona.
That's best to me. Yeah. But we know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think ideally he would love to be at Barcelona, where his Manchester United career was in the past. If Barcelona would have activated what they needed to activate and not have got Anthony Gordon, he would have been in the sunset with a new 3-year deal at Barcelona, and his Man United career would have been in the rearview mirror. But because that hasn't happened, this is what's difficult to answer. What does Marcus Rashford want? And also, he's turning down moves. There was reports that he's turned down Fenerbahce and doesn't want to play. David Ornstein was saying that he doesn't want to play for any other Premier League clubs. So maybe just by default, he goes, well, the move didn't happen. What do you want me to do? I've got to get on with it. I'm a professional footballer. It's not the worst thing in the world to have to go back to Manchester United, and we just all got to deal with it. But I don't think it's going to be the car crash that everybody thinks it's going to be, especially with how the dressing room is now and the feeling in the club now.
He's coming back to a very different team.
It's a different team, a different vibe. Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, there was some links with Arsenal. I've never thought Arsenal would sign Marcus Rashford, because this is the Premier League champions. Been linked with a player like Morgan Rogers, obviously now linked with Vinicius Junior. And again, I agree with you. I think it is crazy.
You think it's crazy if Mikel Arteta comes in for Marcus Rashford?
Yeah.
Why?
To start on the left-hand side.
Why?
This is the Premier.
It's better than Martinelli.
This is but I think for
Premier League for years.
For Arsenal now, to get Arsenal Premier League champions, the next step for them is to win the Champions League. And I think clearly that left-hand side.
The league and the Liga.
The next step for Arsenal is to win that Champions League, and I think to improve and get better, I think they'll be looking at players better than Marcus Rashford, that is the likes of Vinicius Junior and Morgan Rogers.
That's fine.
I don't think
Morgan Rogers on the left, Marcus Rashford at his best. Like, there's not much like Marcus Rashford in the Champions League, mate. Is a very good player if he's locked in. Now, don't get me wrong. There are question marks about his consistency. I don't want Marcus. Listen, I would hate to see Marcus Rashford in an Arsenal shirt, but guess what? I actually wouldn't be shocked if Marcus Rashford went there. Not at all.
If you'd have said to me when last season finished and Arsenal left as Premier League champions that the left-hand side was clearly an area for improvement and Marcus Rashford would be starting on the left-hand side, I'd personally be surprised. I would have thought more, because of where Arsenal are at as Premier League champions, that to get to that next level, they'd be in a position where they would target some of the best left wingers in the world, like they're doing with Vinicius Junior. This is not me slagging off Marcus Rashford. Like he's not a good footballer.
Listen, they're currently in Vinny.
I'm talking at Arsenal.
So I'm not saying.
Surprise me if they go from Vinny Junior.
I'm not saying he's the first name on their transfer list.
Sure.
And clearly by what's been going on, he hasn't been. But as this window goes on, that's what I wouldn't rule out. I know Ornstein has said he doesn't want to play for another Premier League team. But if Arsenal come in,
I'd be surprised if he was to turn his nose up.
Crookie says, watch out for Spurs. I think the opposite was that. I think Marcus Rashford would think he's above Spurs. I really do. I don't think there's any chance in hell Marcus Rashford goes to Spurs.
But then you said he's turned down Fenerbahce. Barcelona don't want to sign him. He doesn't want to go back to Man United.
I don't think
that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's in a position here of real strength to be sort of turning his nose up at a team like Spurs. I appreciate they've got.
No, not if he can stay at Man United. I think he's just rather stay at Man United.
There's not loads of offers coming in for Marcus Rashford at this moment in time.
No, but I think listen, this is just my opinion. I think if Spurs came in for him for a loan or tried to buy him, I don't think
he preferred to stay.
I think he preferred to stay at Man United and see how it goes.
Yeah. It is the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. 03717 722 3344 is the number to call. Man United fans, football fans, if you want to get involved in the conversation this evening, Spurs and Arsenal fans, would you like Marcus Rashford to make a move to your club? It is the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT.
Well, this is probably one that Darryl would be more interested in because it concerns his beloved Liverpool.
Don't sign him. Don't sign him.
You don't want him?
No, not for that kind of money, no. We need a central defender. We need another midfielder. Yes, we need a winger. They spent 100-odd million on him. They're not going to do any more. And we need a right back. I just think, I look at his figures and I look at where he is and whatever else. No, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. Nope. No.
Wow. See, I think he'd be a great addition to the Premier League. But in terms of the figures, obviously PSG were touting over the weekend. They wanted 145 million. I think the opening bid from Liverpool is going to be a lot less than that, maybe nearer the 80 to 100 million pound mark with add-ons. Will that be enough to persuade them to do business? Who knows? But Barca isn't signing a new contract as it stands, so PSG not necessarily in a strong position.
Why do you think he'll be a serious asset in the Premier League? Tell me what he can do in the Premier League. I've looked at all his data. I've seen his Champions League data. I've seen in France. Someone even put up a comparison with Cody Gakpo, and I'm not his biggest fan. Gakpo was pretty much ahead of him in a lot of the data. World Cup goals, Champions League goals, and I'm not no comparison, but you've just made a statement there that you want to see him in the Premier League and whatever. Why?
I think he's a top player. I think he's been a top player for France. He's part of a PSG team.
Let's be honest. We've all found ourselves raging at a referee's decision at some stage. This feel familiar?
That is an absolutely shocking decision.
They've got a case in that it was a bad decision.
It's such a poor decision.
Yeah, I think he's just made a bad decision in that instance.
But what does it take to get to the very top of football refereeing? Every referee starts with their county FA. It's a simple training course and you can take it as soon as you hit your 14th birthday. Once you've done that, you have to go through at least 11 hours of face-to-face training. You'll then graduate as a Level 7 official, which means you can take charge of county-level games. But hold your horses, there's still a long way to go to get to the Premier League. Your next step is to spend a year each at Levels 6, 5 and 4. This covers the top of the amateur game. Only at Level 3 do you start doing Northern Counties or Isthmian League level games, for example. If you've done this all quickly, you can reach Level 2 and ref your first National League match after, I don't know, 6 years? After getting enough experience at that level, you can apply to be a referee in the EFL. There's an interview, people watching you do games, and then, if the EFL are happy, you'll be granted a Level 1 licence to ref in games in League 2 and above. Now, they don't just say on you go to the Premier League, you have to work your way up through the divisions. Only after years of hard work and refereeing on cold Tuesday nights in Stoke can you be considered to do matches in some of Europe's very best stadiums. Now, who was the youngest to reach the very top? It was actually Michael Oliver. He refed his first Premier League match in 2010 at the tender age of just 25. So if you want to follow in his footsteps, crack on. It'll only take you roughly a decade, thousands of hours of work and an incredibly thick skin. In total, there are 37,000 registered referees across England, but the PGMOL has only deemed 21 good enough for the top flight. That means there's not even a 1 in 1,000 chance you'll even make it in. Obviously, referees can make mistakes, but when you think about it, having a go at them is kind of like slating a brain surgeon.
A very, very good evening. You are listening to the Transfer Insiders. We are on talkSPORT. It is Sam, Ellard and Flex with you until 10 o'clock this evening, bringing you all the latest transfer news, rumours and done deals. Your transfer headlines this Wednesday evening. Liverpool are set to place an opening bid for Bradley Barcola. talkSPORT understands preliminary talks have already taken place, but suggestions that Barcola has already agreed personal terms are premature. Liverpool will point to the fact that Barcola only has 2 years left on his current deal and will not sign a new contract. talkSPORT understands their initial valuation will be around £80 million. Elsewhere, Real Madrid have opened initial talks with Manchester City to sign Rodri. The Spanish midfielder has already made it clear he wants to move, and Danny Welbeck has been given permission to undergo his Chelsea medical, while Brentford have confirmed Jordan Henderson has left after a mutual agreement was reached to terminate his contract. If you want to get involved on the day's biggest transfer stories, 03717 223344 is the number to call. It is the Transfer Insiders, and we're on talkSPORT. Before the news flex at 8, we were talking Manchester United. You sort of laid down what you wanted to happen, who you wanted to bring in, and we also talked about Marcus Rashford and his future. Rob, the Man United fan, has called 03717 223344. Rob, good evening. You're live on talkSPORT. What would you like to say, mate?
Evening, Rob.
Hey, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I don't want Marcus Rashford back. I want him gone.
Why?
Simple as. Well, the way he's been acting when he was at United, he was so unprofessional, and it's clear that money is his raison d'etre. That's all he's basically interested in, and I think he's also been away from the club for too long. Anyway, I mean, if it was a young player having a couple of loans and that, you know, let's say late teens, early 20s, and a couple of loans, you'd say that's fair enough. You know, they need the experience, but this is a player who's he's a seasoned professional, a supposedly seasoned professional. He's been away for the club for nearly 2 years. No, I think everybody's moved on. United have moved on. He's moved on. I think both basically should part company.
But Rob, if with this situation that has happened in terms of the bids haven't come in, Man United, you know, we probably do want to move him on, but it just hasn't arisen in that way. Our finances are, we need midfielders, we want some defenders, etc., etc.
Yes.
And you look at Michael Carrick. Where do you think he is in this? Because Michael Carrick surely would be like, he would love to have Marcus Rashford. He's played with him, he's coached him. Would you not believe in Carrick to sort of maybe get one last hurrah out of Rashi?
No.
Not at all?
No, not at all, no. I think the only radical solution to this, and I think this is where Sir Jim Ratcliffe may have to, if I was in his position, I think what I'd be doing if I was Sir Jim Ratcliffe, from my own pocket, say, right, there you are, there's your contract money. I will pay this to you.
He's not
to get rid of you.
Mate. Out of his own money.
I don't think he will. I know, but this is part. But somebody somewhere is going to have to say, look, we can't have this. There needs to be some sort of, in my opinion, mutually agreed deal where basically he gets the hell out of the club.
So you think it's that bad? You think there's no way he can come back in, get his head back down again? The squad, if you think about our characters in the squad, they'll like him, I think. People like Bruno and Maguire and Martin, they've all played with him. I don't think there'll be any problems there. It's a new feel at United, and it's another option for us to have. And it's making the best out of a bad situation where both parties wanted to go their separate ways, but the footballing landscape didn't permit.
Well, maybe. I mean, this all boils down to Ed Woodward stupidly
giving him the contract,
giving him such a stupidly obscene contract. But no, I just don't want him back. I don't want him within 100 yards of the place.
Oh, interesting. Maybe a little bit harsh, Rob. Thank you very much for the call. Ray's also a Man United fan, has called 03717 223344. Ray, good evening. Rob there, well, he's pretty clear with his message. Marcus Rashford should be nowhere near the football club. How do you see it, Ray? Ray, good evening.
Hi, can you hear me?
We got you, mate.
We got you, mate.
Where's your stance on Marcus Rashford?
Do you know what it's all about? For me, it's all about the mentality. We're signing a lot of new players that want to play for the club, coming with the right attitude. Wages aren't astronomical. They're on good money. If he's going to disrupt what we've been trying to build for the last couple of seasons, there's no point. Just let him go.
But do you think you would? Ray, I appreciate you had a tricky kind of back end to his time at Man United, but talk about coming back and disrupting the football club. I can't imagine he's going to come back after a year away and be disruptive.
I mean, some of the things that he's done in the past, that night out in Belfast, just little things like that we don't seem to have at the moment. Just any like a disruption to our camp.
But wasn't most of that? I mean,
I'm on the fence, to be honest.
You're on the fence, and do you know what? And I think that's a fair place to be, considering what's happened at United. It is a fair place to be with what Ray's saying there. Thank you, Ray. Mate.
Ray, thank you very much for the call. Greg's a Spurs fan. Greg, very good evening. You're live on the Transfer Insiders. On Marcus Rashford, there has been some talk that possibly he could be a Spurs player next season. We know that Spurs want a wide player. Be linked with Savinho as well, be linked with Cody Gakpo. Would you take Rashford at Spurs, Greg?
Yeah, 100%. I think for us at the moment, obviously we're on this rebuild. I think a seasoned professional like Rashford, Premier League experience, we know the qualities that he could bring to the team. It's a no-brainer for me. I think get rid of Richarlison, bring in Rashford. You know what? I fancy us. We've got no European football next season, so...
Fancy you to do what, Greg?
To get Rashford.
I hate to say it. I think if we could get someone like Rashford in, I think we've got more of a chance to get back in Europe next season.
Well, you would have more of a chance. That's not a. That's
Europe's
not
fair. Also, Europe's given that half the league now.
Yeah,
getting to Europe in some capacity. I mean, finishing the top 10 is.
Rashford would be a great signing for Spurs.
Greg. So Mateus Fernandes has come through for big money. Sandro Tonali's come through for big money. Van Heck, Senesi, and also Andy Robertson have come in to shore up the back four. I mean, so many Spurs fans, post 2019 for obvious reasons, have been so unhappy at the way the football club's been run, especially in the transfer market, for not showing the right ambition to go out and sign the sort of best players. Early signs, but in this transfer window, have you been happy with the way the board have kind of gone out and been quite aggressive in the transfer window?
Yeah, look, so far I've been more than happy. Spurs have always been lastminute.com. We're competing against other clubs to sign players. We get kind of gazump last minute, but they've come out, they've made a couple of statement bookings. I know a lot of people are kind of saying, yeah, we're paying over the odds, but it's inflation at the moment. Like, players are going out for ridiculous money.
Yeah. Spurs have to pay it as well. You have to. For the position you've been in, back-to-back 17th, mate, you got to make statements.
Yeah, 100%. I think, what the board are doing now kind of, for me, shows that it's not just about business. They want to get back to becoming a top-flight football team again. They showed no ambition over the past couple of seasons. I was actually a fan of Levy. I loved what he did business-wise. He got us the stadium. He got us.
Not had a Tottenham fan.
I was going to say. I thought. Say that again, Greg.
I think a lot of people criticise what he was doing, but if you look at it, what he's done for us business-wise has now given us the opportunity to go out and spend.
So, but Greg, is it just on Levy? We don't want to go over our ground, but is it fair to say off the pitch he was a success, but on the pitch, certainly post 2019, the lack of backing, the lack of investment in that Mauricio Pochettino team, which followed on years after he left, was nowhere near good enough for a team that is supposed to be one of the big six clubs?
No, 100%. 100% I agree with that. I'm talking about business more than anything. I think what he's done for the club is great, but yes, you're right. When we reached the Champions League final, he should have backpopped.
Yeah, that was it, wasn't it? That's true. That was it, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, he should have got us the players that we needed, and we should have built on that. But instead, he didn't spend anything that transfer window, if I remember correctly.
2 transfer windows, wasn't it? No players were bought in.
Greg, it was a January and a summer transfer.
Yeah, that's it, mate. That's it. Yeah, Greg, thank you very much for the call, mate. Good luck for the season ahead. Let's go to Bailey, a Man United fan. He's called 03717 223344. Bailey, good evening. You're live on talkSPORT. What would you like to say?
Evening, Bailey.
Hi, lads. So I've been hearing a few calls coming in. I think a bit harsh on Rashford, really. I think United are in market for an attacker anyway. You've got one on your books, a proven striker. Yeah, towards the end of his previous spell at United, could question his behaviour in Hardy Warwick club. But for me personally, I think give another shot. I think the only thing for me is the wages. Obviously, I don't think it's highest paid player at club, but he's got to be up there in excess of £300,000 a week.
Yeah, he certainly is up there, and that was something that Ineos were banking on, sort of getting off of the books and moving in a different direction. But like you did say though, I remember before Crescencio Somerville went to Saudi Arabia, we were looking at him for 50 million. So there's also has to be another reinvestment should Rashford leave. Obviously not on those wages, but I tend to agree with you, mate. I do think if we could pick an option, we would pick to happily go our separate ways, but we pay him an awful lot of money. We made the mistake of giving him that contract, and the manager that he fell out with and was, really poor under and couldn't get a look in is gone. It's a different Man United. And if we're trusting Carrick, I think Carrick could get him going again, at least for a season.
No, I completely agree with you. And I think fees that we were looking for Rashford going to Barcelona, they weren't great. You're not selling Rashford, obviously can use funds, but, you weren't getting 100 million for him. But what were we looking at? Something like 25, 30 million pounds in this market.
Exactly.
That doesn't get you anything. So you've got a player who, in my opinion, is worth well more than that. He's just come off at back of a fairly successful loan spell at Barcelona. I think get him in, see what he's about, and then we go from there then. That's my opinion.
Bailey, thanks so much for the call, mate. Have a good evening. Flex, we've got some exclusive breaking news to bring everybody. talkSPORT understands Bradley Barcola wants to join Liverpool. That is a talkSPORT exclusive. And as a Liverpool fan... how
does that make you feel? Let me speak to you.
That makes me feel...
What's going through your body right now?
Optimism, because I think this deal gets done. I think when the player wants that move, that's very, very important. It's been reported with 2 years left on his deal, Flex, that he doesn't want to sign a new contract with PSG. I think this deal gets done. I think PSG and Liverpool are going to come to a fee this summer. At the moment, as Ben Jacobs was telling us earlier, there's a big difference in what Liverpool want to pay and what PSG want to pay. talkSPORT understands Liverpool's initial valuation is around £80 million. And also the fee that PSG want at the moment is around £145 million, the starting kind of.
How are you on the fee? Are you? Can I ask you a question?
Honestly, as a fan,
after what you did last year, where you spent big breaking 2 records in a row for Isak and Wirtz, and the return on that last year was poor. Let's just be honest, for different reasons. But the return on those 2 particular for that type of money was poor. Does it not put you off a little bit going straight back in, straight there, or does it make you feel more confident? That
with my fan hat on, I don't really care about the price.
Yep.
Is that fair? But I think most fans just want the best players
money
to come to their club. A little bit like that. And I think
but if it's not working, if it hasn't worked with 2 big signings...
No, but also with Isak and Wirtz, Alexander Isak barely played last season. Sure, it was his own fault, but he didn't have a pre-season because he wasn't training with Newcastle. He then came, he then sort of had to work up to speed. When he finally got himself fit again and scored that goal against Tottenham, he got injured. So it feels harsh to judge Alexander Isak on last season. On Alexander Isak, by the way, I think people shouldn't forget, because he had a bad year last year, how good of a striker he is. He's got a full pre-season now behind him. Alexander Isak, for a good 3 or 4 year period in Newcastle, was one of the best centre-forwards in the world, no doubt about that. And with the full pre-season,
so was Fernando Torres before he went to Chelsea, mate.
We're going to see the best of Alexander Isak next season.
We're going to see the best of him.
Florian Wirtz was nowhere near good enough last season, and I think he's got to shoulder some of that responsibility himself, no doubt about that. What didn't help Florian Wirtz last season is the manager was absolutely all over the place. Last season was a mess because Arne Slot had all these new players and did not know what to do, did not know how to get their best out of them. We saw Wirtz play as a 10, we saw Wirtz play in a midfield 3, we saw Wirtz play out on the left-hand side. It's not all down to Arne Slot, but I think not knowing his role in the team was a big problem for Florian Wirtz. And Antonio Raiola is going to come in, and with the full pre-season, let's hope, touch wood, he finds the right role for Florian Wirtz. Before last season, with Mo Salah there, we were thinking we needed to sign another attacking player. Luis Diaz left the football club, Darwin Núñez left the football club, there was a tragic death, or Diogo Jota. A year down the line, Mo Salah's left. We need a winger, we need a wide player, and we need the best in class. And I think clear to see that Bradley Barcola is one of the most exciting young prospects in world football. Again, he doesn't want to sign a new contract to PSG. He's got 2 years on it. talkSPORT understands.
It's all in your favour.
He wants to join Liverpool. Liverpool need him. Liverpool want him. Yeah. I think they come to an agreement.
Signing makes a lot of sense.
Maybe meet somewhere in the middle around the £100 million mark, and I think that's going to be a super exciting signing for Liverpool.
I think that's the right word. Exciting, very exciting. Even as a neutral fan, seeing him in the Premier League is exciting. This is one of the most sought after youngsters in Europe. You see how amazing he's been in that PSG side. Well, I say amazing. there's ups and downs.
Yeah.
There's
But
ups and
also it's
downs because he's
testament.
raw.
Like in any other team in the world, he'd be the best player in that team.
Yeah,
Just PSG, he's not because of
and the biggest question mark for him, obviously, he's young, so we have to allow this time to transpire to work it out and see the evidence. Is he ready to be the main man at a club the size of Liverpool? So we're going to find out.
Well, breaking news, exclusive breaking news. Bradley Barcola wants to join Liverpool. talkSPORT understands. It is the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. Sam Ellard and Flex are with you until 10. Up next, Clive Palmer of the Arsenal Vision podcast will join us and we'll get all the latest transfer news regarding Arsenal.
Phoned up and said you got 10 players better than John Stones.
I said all time. I didn't say Prem, but let's stick to Prem. All right, let's do this.
Go on.
Virgil van Dijk, John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic, Vincent Kompany.
Yeah, that's five.
All right.
Yeah.
Are we going Tony Adams?
Oh, yeah.
No,
you're not gonna say.
No, but go on.
I would.
Campbell.
I'd do Sol Campbell, defo.
And I'm a Tottenham
Sol
fan,
Campbell,
so
come
Campbell
on,
out.
come on, Jamie.
Keep going.
I'm going Sol Campbell.
Yeah.
Oh. Gary Pallister.
Carvalho.
Mate, come on.
Carvalho.
Don't help him. Why are you helping him? Carvalho's not better than John Stones.
Carvalho. Ricardo Carvalho.
Jamie,
Give
hear me
me
out.
a break, man.
On his day, prime for prime, one game for a final, Ledley King.
Yeah, Ledley King. What, you telling me Ledley King? Oh, come, Jamie.
Listen, Jamie, not the career, but for one game in his prime.
I watched John
player.
Stones playing the Champions League final.
I know
for
he was
City.
unbelievable.
He was unbelievable. So let's.
I hear it, but
like,
you know
come
what
on.
I think, yeah? I heard
You can't be
Rory
putting
and
Ledley
Addy
King
earlier.
above.
A very good evening. You are listening to the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. Sam Ellard and Flex are with you until 10 o'clock this evening. Just confirmation of our exclusive breaking news. Bradley Barcola wants to join Liverpool. talkSPORT understands. Of course, Liverpool have been linked with Barcola for a long time. It goes back to last summer. talkSPORT also understands Liverpool's initial valuation is around £80 million, which is short of what PSG want. But perhaps this news that Bradley Barcola wants to join Liverpool will accelerate this transfer and perhaps Liverpool can get it done sooner rather than later. Clive Palmer of the Arsenal Vision podcast joins us live on the Transfer Insiders. Evening, Clive. How are you?
I'm not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thank you for joining us, Clive. Obviously, we're talking all things Arsenal with you, but Arsenal are in the market for a winger, a left winger in particular. There was the Morgan Rogers link, and then Chelsea ruined that for you, didn't they, with that record-breaking British transfer bid. And of course, you've been linked, haven't you, as well, with Vinicius Junior. Was Bradley Barcola a player that do you think maybe would have interested Arsenal?
Yeah, a lot of Arsenal fans want that out-and-out winger, someone who can run a bit and maybe take people on, and who's right-footed coming in from left-hand side. Yeah, we saw him live, didn't we, in Budapest when he ran through us a bit late on. But that's part of the problem for him. He's not really started in the biggest Champions League games for PSG, so he's looking to go further afield. But I do think everyone likes him, but the numbers around him are just going crazy, aren't they? And that's the one issue we have.
On Vinicius Junior, then, of course, the story broke, didn't it, on the weekend that Arsenal are exploring the possibility of bringing Vinicius Junior to Arsenal. He's got a year left on that Real Madrid contract. What does your gut tell you, kind of 48, 72 hours on? Do you think that Arsenal are going to get Vinicius Junior?
That's a straight question.
We do, Clive,
It's loaded. It's loaded, Clive.
We do not mess around here on the transfer inside. I mean, I could have gone, are you enjoying the weather, Clive? But I thought I'd go straight in. Vinny Junior, are you getting him, yes or no?
Well, we all would like to get him. I think he'd be fantastic for the Premier League. It's quite interesting. If this story had come up maybe 3-4 years ago, everyone would have laughed at it. Maybe some still are. But I think people are now looking around thinking, actually, this could happen. And what if it does? You know, and I think that's
me.
the issue. Yeah,
that's me.
What if it does? What does it mean for the rest of the league? Because, you know, he can play football, right? There's no debate there, is it? Sometimes when you're spending like 100 million quid north of, you debate whether they can play left or a 10. When he comes in, it's like, okay, I know where he's standing. I know what he can do. He's played at all different levels. He's got a couple of Champions League medals in his back pocket. And so you're buying the absolute ready-made, right? So that tends a little bit of fear around, but also it's a very difficult deal to do. So I'm not a kid, you know. I do get excited about some things, but I'm not going to get excited until I see things holding the shirt up.
Oh, you're basically saying, Clive, you haven't gone down the armory and bought your Vinny shirt early. You had to get in
not
there.
Yet, right? So earlier when I got a message saying, you want to come on? I said, who's on? I said, Flex. I said, I need to look at him in the eye. I need to look him in the eye and see how he's doing.
Yeah, no, I'm doing all right as long as Vinicius Junior doesn't go to Arsenal. To another Brazilian, Clive, Bruno Guimaraes. Arsenal have been pushing for this deal for quite some time now. He's made it very, very clear he obviously wants to leave Newcastle United. How big of a signing would that be for Arsenal, Bruno Guimaraes?
Yeah, I think it's really it indicates what we're trying to do. Obviously, everyone wants to get better, don't they? But it's the sort of thing that Manchester United used to do, Flex. Remember when you got Van Persie at 28, 29?
Yeah, exactly.
You just got him, right? You didn't mess about. We want to win the league. Go and get the best forward. We pay the money. You wouldn't think about resale. You think about building and what you were doing. And I think this is one of those type of signings. And I'll be honest with you, I'm always honest. I don't always feel comfortable buying players of that age, of that number. But our goals and requirements have changed since we've actually won. And I have to accept that we're trying to be the best team, not only in the league, in a very competitive league, but trying to be the best team in Europe. And to do that, maybe buying 18-year-old centre mids is not the way to go. You're going to have to buy people who are ready.
Yeah.
And he's ready, right?
He certainly is. I think he'll be a perfect signing. I think he's got he's got all of the dark arts. He's got all of the aggression. He's got all of the work rate, the passion.
And he's a baller as well.
And he can play. Well. And he can play. I'm with you. You don't worry about resale value if you can get somebody the quality of him. But when you're in a position of strength, when your team is so settled and you're just sort of sprinkling from a position of power, as Premier League champions, I think that's exactly the type of signing you make. William Saliba is out for a couple of months, potentially. Good news that he didn't need surgery, of course, with this back injury. Do you think Arsenal need to go into the market for yet another centre-back? Or because you've got so many centre-backs across the back four and even at full-back that they can play there, you've got enough to get by?
Yeah, I think we need a right-footed defender, right? Because Saliba's just come back from a groin issue. Ben White's doing pre-season training with a big strap on his knee. We got Mosquera, who's a right-footed defender, but he's 21, and we got Saliba.
And Timber, I think there's issues with his injury again, isn't there?
Exactly. So if you look at that group and you're trying to risk manage the situation, you say, you know what, I need to get a right-footed defender in. Obviously, we looked at Konza, but Aston Villa, they're not giving out no bargains at the moment.
That's going to cost you at least 80.
They said, we've offered, like, as we do, approximately 35, 40. And they said, how about 60 before we even have a chat? So the thing about prices at the moment, you start off with a price around, say for Morgan Rogers, for example, it's like 80 million. And then someone writes an article and a tweet comes out and say the price is 130. I mean, how can you plan for the future when the price goes up 50 million difficult. Just because of one interview in a paper or something? And that's the market that we're in. And it's really challenging, not just for us, for many clubs. Like Liverpool, they're being cautious. Manchester United, they've done a few good things, but they're still being cautious. There's more to do. And I'm not against being cautious until things calm down, but will they calm down? Because it's a highly competitive space at the moment.
Clive, going into next season, there's a lot of people that are maybe, non-Arsenal fans are worried about Arsenal running away with the league last season. Obviously, Premier League champions. You've got Mikel Arteta still at the club, whereas all of the other five are the traditional top six. Have either got new managers starting this season or managers that have kind of come in during last season. Do you think Arsenal, will run away with the league last season? I think lots of people, though, to be fair, thought the same thing about Liverpool, didn't they, from the previous season, winning the league and spending big money. And it's not always that straightforward, is it, Clive? How do you kind of see next season panning out for Arsenal?
Yeah, he took the words out of my mouth regarding Liverpool. This time last year when they got Isak, Ekitike and Wirtz, we all going, oh my goodness, let's just pack up to the year after.
No point playing the season, Clive.
Exactly. And they had a great start. I think they won the first 4 or 5 games.
5 games, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? You need to make sure you've got money in the bank to make sure you can keep goals out your net as well. And I think this summer is different to last summer with a major tournament. People came back late. I think the window later on will be really instructive about where people are and how prepared they are. And the season may go in a bit of a chunk to that first international break. It's a 3-week break. And when you come back after that, I think you'll know where teams are, and the season will almost start then. So I don't think anyone's going to be in shape and organised until very, very late in the window. And then we're going to start to see how teams are and if they're going to run away with things. So for me, just accumulate as many points as you can early. Don't worry about if you're a bit behind. Just make sure you're building your fitness and building it up and making sure you got your team in place for maybe after international break.
2 quick ones from me, Clive. What positions do Arsenal need? I know you said about the right-footed centre-back and the left winger. Is there any other positions that you feel you need? And secondly, does Arteta need to change anything? You know, like, you've won the league and there's a lot of scrutiny of the way Arsenal plays. To this, it's to that.
Was there?
That you know, I don't actually buy into it. I actually like defend.
I remember that time where Arsenal were winning games of football and about to win the Premier League, and people were like, "This isn't fun."
It is ridiculous.
That feels like it didn't happen, right?
Exactly, right. So we know that, and I'm not saying that will get into his head, but just from an actual Arsenal fan perspective, do you look at that and say, we might need to evolve, we might need to do a little bit things a bit different. There's a bigger target on our backs now. That defensive style or that more solidified style might have to adapt or evolve? Or do you see it as like, no, it ain't broke, don't fix it? There's so many other teams that got new managers. We've got a constant, we know what we're doing, just sprinkle.
You know what? You say a lot of wise things there, Flex, in that. I think, I do think we have a lot of development growth in the group that we have already, because the only team had more injuries than us last year was Spurs. And look what happened to them. And we really haven't seen as our players at their top point, even like Saka, Odegaard, Havertz, had barely started the game for 2 years together. Right? So if I say that to you out loud, you think, crikey, that's unreal.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then, obviously, centre mid, we lost Marino, we lost Timber for a chunk, we lost White for a chunk. I just want to see health, first and foremost, so we can develop on the group. We've got a couple of young players in Miles Lewis-Skelly and Max Dowman that we haven't seen the best of yet. So there's a lot of development within the group. I do think we are known as the best off-the-ball team in the world.
Yeah.
And everyone can see that we're quite good defence. You ain't got to be Einstein to see that. But I think we have to try and improve on the ball. And Mikel Arteta has spoken about trying to have players with more individual actions, more Ezes, more Vinnies, more Sakas, those sort of players that can do something really individual and really put the ball in top corner. Morgan Rogers was one of those, right? Yeah. So you can see why we were going after him. So I'm looking to see how we develop on the ball, how we change ourselves slightly, but not to throw away what we're really good at. Because if you do that, that's what Liverpool did last year. They had a fantastic high-energy team, and they slowed down their attacks. They slowed down their intensity in the front line, and the fans didn't connect to it. So what they've done now, they've got the best pressing manager in the league in Iola, and they are now looking to go back to what they used to do. And I think their fans will really recognise that. So for me, don't throw away who we are. Just make it nicer. A bit more...
bit easier on the eye.
A bit more aesthetic, a little bit more. I need
Look at
to keep
that Premier League winner for the first time in God knows how long. He's going, do it nicer.
I'd double down, Clive, if I was you. More defence, less attacking, more set pieces.
Annoy everybody.
Clive, thank you so much for joining us. By the way, what a soothing voice. Like, great football knowledge.
All day.
But I could also fall asleep while listening to you. This is absolutely fantastic. I know.
People say that. I don't take offence. It's all good.
Sorry. That was supposed to be a compliment, by the way. Great football knowledge, but also delivered with real ease.
Thanks, mate.
There we
really
go.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Clive, thank you very much.
Flex.
Nice one, Clive.
I'll see you soon, mate.
That's Clive Palmer of the Arsenal Vision podcast. Bit of a bromance going on there between you two, is it?
I like Clive.
In the old YouTube community world.
Well, we have got our little community.
Little cliques going on there.
Sometimes when you guys let us in, it's nice.
You're dominating now, aren't you? Letting you in. You're bloody everywhere. I can't go onto social media without seeing a Flex or a Rory Jennings or an Abby Summers or whoever. It is the Transfer and Style as it's just gone 8:30. Up next, we'll get an update from the Commonwealth Games, and we will cross over to Spain to get all the latest there.
chaps. How are you?
We're good, man. How you doing today?
Morning,
You all right?
Jeff.
You well?
I'm all right. Goldstein, are you on a wind-up with this Kane to Chelsea thing?
Well, no. I never said it. I asked the question.
Yeah, you done it on purpose, so I'd ring up, didn't
Oh, no,
you?
Sol Campbell went to Arsenal, didn't he?
No, I knew you was going to come
Tevez
up
went to
with
Man
that.
City. It happens. Definitely happens.
Listen. Kane is proper Tottenham. Don't you know that? Don't you know that?
I know he's proper top. I know that. I don't think he would do that.
Of course he wouldn't. So why are you talking about it and winding me up
Jeff,
for?
let me ask you this.
All night.
Jeff.
I've been working all night on a night shift, right? I'm going home, right? I was all chilled out and relaxed, looking forward to going home.
Now you're all bitter and twisted.
Sorry, Jeff. Sorry.
And now you're winding me up with this. I'll tell you what, if Kane goes to Chelsea, I'll do anything you say. Anything you want.
Well, that sounds weird.
Anything.
I mean, I would.
No.
There's nothing I would say.
No, if you want me to put an Arsenal shirt on the one down Tottenham High Road, I'll do it, right? I'm proper Tottenham. I was born in Park Lane behind the ground, right? From a baby to...
Here are some of the best sledges in Ashes history. Let's start in 1933, Douglas Jardine versus Yabba. Jardine, the notorious captain of the Bodyline series. Yabba, some bloke in the stands who became so famous he now has a statue at the SCG. When Jardine was swatting away flies on the boundary one day, Yabba yelled, "Oi, Jardine, leave our flies alone. They're the only friends you've got." Next, Warne versus Strauss in the Edgbaston Cauldron 2005. Strauss shouted, "Come on, boys, he's struggling here," when Warne misjudged the delivery by Ashley Giles. Warne then told Strauss, "Say one more thing to me and I'll hit..."
Transfer Side is on talkSPORT. Sam Ellard and Flexi with you until 10 this evening. It is day 6 of the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow this evening. 8 swimming goals up for grabs. The heptathlon concludes in the athletics. talkSPORT's Georgie Heath has all the latest for us.
Well, the real excitement has come from the 3x3 basketball. It was gold for England's women in the wheelchair basketball, and then an absolute thriller as England's men defended their title in the men's final against Australia, winning that one 19-17 right on the buzzer. So golds all round there in the 3x3. We've then got weightlifting going on, the 86 kilogram. England's Madias Ngake in action there. She's just set a games record in the snatch with 111 kilograms. Wales were beaten by New Zealand in the netball, and a bronze in the pool for Bruce D in the men's 50-metre freestyle S7. Then over on the track, Georgia Hunter-Bell is into the final of the 800 metres, but Gemma Reekie misses out.
Commonwealth Games update on talkSPORT with BYD. Dare to dream with BYD and the Commonwealth Games.
Thanks, Georgie, for live commentary of the Commonwealth Games. You can cross over to talkSPORT 2 right now and join Natalie Sawyer even for all of the action. Now, one of our biggest transfer stories of the day is that Real Madrid have opened initial talks with Man City to sign Rodri. The Spanish midfielder has already made it clear he wants the move. Man City prefer to keep, even if Rodri fails to sign a new contract. Let's get more on this. Delighted to say that joining us on the Transfer Insider show is the Spanish football expert Mario Corte-Jenner. Mario, good evening. How are you?
Hello, how are you? All good?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Plenty going on then in the world of Spanish transfers. Rodri to Man City getting closer. Do you expect Real Madrid to get their man?
Yeah, we have reported at The Athletic that the club is working on a deal. Personal terms with Rodri are not expected to be an issue because the Spanish midfielder wants to join Real Madrid, but it remains to have a deal, an agreement between clubs. And Manchester City's stand is that they are not feeling a big pressure and that they wouldn't mind to let him to enter the last year of his contract without extending. So let's see, once the clubs are in talks, what happens.
Mario, if Rodri does go to Real Madrid and this deal gets over the line, what sort of effect will that have on the rest of the squad in that area? People like Tchouaméni and Camavinga. And what is the latest on Tchouaméni's proposed verbal agreement for a new contract?
Yeah, well, we reported that actually Tchouaméni's extension is signed, not a verbal agreement. And obviously, someone should leave if Rodri sings for Real Madrid, because even before starting the talks to try to sign Rodri, the message from the Real Madrid board was that of we need to sell players both in midfield and defense. So obviously there are a lot of talks about Camavinga, who is the preferred choice by the club to leave, but he has not given any signal of being open to leave the club. And yeah, there is a lot of talk about Tchouaméni, but it's something extraordinary because he just extended his contract despite Real Madrid have not announced that. Something that it's surprisingly but very usual from Real Madrid.
So just to clarify, because a lot of Manchester United fans want to know, but
I know.
In general, so you're saying Tchouaméni has signed a new Real Madrid contract. That has happened.
Yeah, we reported, and my colleagues David Ornstein reported at the Athletic that the contract the agreement is actually signed, so it's not like a verbal agreement. So it could be very surprising if just after a renewal a Real Madrid player is leaving. But yeah, I feel you. I know what you mean, because I'm having a lot of message on social media from Manchester United supporters.
Sorry about this.
Is there no?
It's just Flex, Mario. He's got about 150 accounts just tweeting you, asking you for updates. Honestly, he needs to get out more.
Yeah, perfectly normal. But a lot of Manchester United supporters are every day asking, is there any chance for Tchouaméni to join us? So let's see. We'll keep an eye, of course.
Man United fans, stop asking Mario about.
We won't stop.
You are not going to sign him. Leave Mario alone.
The Arsenal fans can still keep asking about Vinny. We can still keep asking about Tchouaméni.
Well, I'm not an Arsenal fan, and I'm going to ask about Vinicius Junior. We learned, Mario, on the weekend here at talkSPORT that Arsenal are exploring the possibility of signing Vinicius Junior. We know he's got 1 year left on his Real Madrid contract. How do you see this playing out, Mario, over the next couple of weeks? What's the likelihood Vinny Jr. could be playing in the Premier League next season?
That was a really big bomb by David Basson, by Ornstein and James McNicholas. And even for me, that I'm following Real Madrid, and of course there were a lot of rumors about, especially Premier League clubs, keeping a close eye to Vinicius Junior's situation. But it was surprising. And the truth is that it's everything open. Arsenal are exploring the deal. They would like to be in a good position to try if Vinicius doesn't extend with Real Madrid. Obviously, Real Madrid's priority and Vinicius' priority is the renewal. But the truth is that they started to speak about that in January 2025, and more than 1 year and a half after that, there is no agreement. Someone should give up some money or should do something to change that. We could expect some talks in the short term, because it's getting weird. I would say weird because Real Madrid want to extend him and Vinicius wants to stay. So they should do something about that. And Arsenal are doing a good job to try to be in a good position if he doesn't extend.
But you believe he does want to stay, Vinicius Junior, and even if obviously that would mean working under Jose Mourinho, there's going to be no problems there, you don't think, in Vinny and Jose working together?
Yeah, and we reported that Vinicius is happy with the idea of Mourinho coaching Real Madrid, which at the beginning was a bit surprising because of what happened back in February. So Mourinho, not at all would be a problem, but I would say it's about Mourinho. It's about Vinicius wanting a historic contract.
So Vinny Jr. is just simply playing the game here. He's waiting and waiting and waiting and playing the game here and waiting for Real Madrid to maybe panic with these stories coming out. They go in with a big offer. Vinny says, thank you very much. That's what I wanted. I'm going to sign the contract, stay at Madrid, and I get a big bumper contract.
Yeah, but the interest from Arsenal is very real. It's not just about playing a game. It's very real, and Arsenal really want to be there to have the best position to try if he doesn't extend. let's see what happens, because what Vinicius is saying publicly and to his people is that he's a Madridista and he wants to stay.
Okay, interesting.
But it's the financial gap is still big, so they have to talk and they have to try to reach an agreement.
I'll tell you what, Mario, you've upset Man United fans this evening. You've now upset Arsenal fans. Is there anyone else you want to annoy this evening? I'm only joking. Mario, obviously Jose Mourinho is back at Real Madrid. Not something I thought I'd be saying in 2026. Bernardo Silva's come through the door. Marc Cucurella's come through the door. What's the kind of mood over in Spain, in Madrid, with Jose coming back? Is it one of optimism to kind of bring back the good times? Or, I think over here in England, we would kind of accept when we flex that Jose, goes down, no doubt about it, as one of the best managers, we've seen in England, maybe of all time. Yeah. But his best days are kind of past him. And I don't think many of the big clubs here in England would want Jose Mourinho to be the manager in 2026. I feel like it's been a long time that he was at the absolute top, winning league titles in the kind of biggest European leagues. What's the kind of mood like over in Spain?
Yeah, at the beginning, when we broke the news, the general feeling around the Madrid fan base, and especially in Spain in general, was like, really? Why now? Sure. Really? But with the pass of the time, the truth is that especially the Madrid fan base is getting with a lot of illusion about what he could do, because we are in a position in where Real Madrid have not won any major trophy for 2 seasons in a row, which is very dramatic for Real Madrid. So when you are in a very tough scenario, you really need something different. I think the general belief between the Real Madrid fan base is that Mourinho could be a good option for now, for this extraordinary scenario.
And Mario, any other sort of transfer news over in Spain that we here in England should be aware of?
In terms of Real Madrid, of course,
anyone transfers, anyone really.
Diomande, Real Madrid are still trying to get a deal, to arrange a deal for the player. It's expected to go well above the 100 million euros. So let's see, because Madrid, every part involved, I would say, we're expecting to close a deal this week.
Okay, Mario, thank you very much for joining us, mate. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Good evening.
That is Mario Cortellana, top Spanish football expert. You can now stop asking everyone.
No, you missed a bit earlier because he was talking about Trent. He could be coming back.
Excuse me?
Liverpool.
Yeah.
Back
of right back.
Yeah.
No, I can definitely see that happening. Yeah, bring it back. Yeah. Oh, that would be some story.
We have to keep asking the questions, mate. We need to know about Tchouaméni. We need to know what's going on.
Yeah, no, I think now you know.
Well,
new contract signed.
Mate, yeah. I haven't seen.
You even got him to repeat his answer.
I haven't seen Madrid post it.
You haven't seen?
I haven't seen Madrid post.
So you call him Mario a liar then?
I'm just
bang out of order from you. Mario, I believe you. Tchouaméni signing a new contract.
I haven't seen him with a pen in his hand.
Oh, anyway. Up next, we're going to go inside the Nottingham Forest training camp. talkSPORT's Max Scott is over in Portugal with the Nottingham Forest team doing some wonderful work. We're going to hear from Morgan Gibbs-White and Oliver Glasner next on the Transfer Insiders. A very good evening. You are listening to the Transfer Insiders. We're on talkSPORT. Sam Ellard and Flex with you until 10 o'clock. Just confirmation of the talkSPORT exclusive we brought you half an hour or so ago. talkSPORT understands Bradley Barkler wants to join Liverpool. As reported on Tuesday, Liverpool are readying an opening offer worth up to €100 million plus add-ons for the PSG star. That is according to talkSPORT's Alex Crook and Ben Jacobs. We'll talk Liverpool in more detail at 9 o'clock. Now, talkSPORT's Max Scott has been out in Portugal, embedded in Nottingham Forest pre-season training camp. Tomorrow, you can hear his full interview with the Nottingham Forest captain, Morgan Gibbs-White. We can hear a snippet of it now. Here Gibbs-White explains what it was like being told he would miss the Europa League semi-final second leg after his freak eye injury he sustained away at Chelsea.
What sort of really settled it for me, where I said, where I turned around and was like, yeah, you know what, you guys are right, I can't play in that game. One of the specialists said that if it was 4 centimetres close to my eye, it would have been a no-go. My eye would have been gone.
What, you wouldn't have been able to see?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So as soon as he said that, I was like, right, yeah, okay.
So count your blessings in that sense.
Yeah,
you might have missed out on that game, but you've still got a career, you've still got eyesight.
100%. But for some reason, there's something still inside me that could I have played?
I mean, that is
incredible.
That is remarkable. What, 4 centimetres away from his eye being taken out?
Wow. And to take that in, you know, and if a doctor or surgeon tells you that,
yeah,
you probably
it's
don't
scary,
really compute that.
Yeah.
You know, that is a serious, you know, they talk about things that are bigger than football, etc.
Yeah, sure.
You know, your family, etc., but your well-being, you know, and that's a hefty price to pay. So thank God it wasn't. Yes, it's a sickener for him to miss such a big game.
And I was gutted for him.
He
was on the bench from memory. Like,
he was, but I don't think he was.
He had the mask on, didn't he? And you could see just the bruising, the swelling
so bad
of his eye. And it was almost like I was gutted for him because it was such a big game, obviously, wasn't it, for Nottingham Forest? And you know, like in the World Cup, obviously, when the squad was named, you know, lots of people thought maybe Phil Foden should start, Cole Palmer should be in the squad, and, you know, Trent, everyone kind of had an opinion on who should and shouldn't be in. But I thought if you just base purely on form from the last season and base purely on the numbers, I thought he was the player that was most unlucky to miss out.
Yeah, with the output that he had for that season, not just overall talent of maybe what they've done in their careers, etc., but in terms of the season he was having and the form that he was in, he couldn't have done anything more. Like, he had if you talk about what type of season does a player want going into a World Cup year, you'd pick. You
couldn't ask really for too much more.
That's what I'm saying. You'd pick what Gibbs-White put out. Of course, the fluctuation of the club Forest with all of that going on, that's fine. But in terms of an individual season, in terms of getting your seat on a plane with a national squad, he couldn't have done much more, mate. He'd been exceptional, and the way he took it as well. He's just such a classy individual, Morgan Gibbs-White. He knows what to say. He comes from good stock. He's got great manners, and he just wished the boys well. Just the way he took the news. Obviously, you're disappointed. You're fuming. You want to probably just come out and just go crazy. You know what I mean? Why the hell am I not?
That'd be me, by the way.
That'd be you throwing a tantrum.
I wouldn't be wishing anyone good luck.
And do you know what? Behind closed doors, he probably did do that.
Yeah, no, of course.
But the way
he would if he wasn't gutted.
Exactly. But the way he presented himself for that, it was a tough pill for him to take. But more importantly, though, listening to that little snippet there, I can't wait to hear more of that interview. Max doing great work out there. But what a revelation that is.
Did you like his Birkenstocks?
Well, I was looking at them. I was like, are they split toe? No, they were split toe.
They're not
Birkos.
for me, mate. You know that.
No,
they're not Birkenstocks?
They look like Birkenstocks, but they were split toe. They're almost like the Nike wrist.
They were split toe.
So yeah, if you go back, that's why I don't know if you saw. I was like, is this a new Birkenstock that's come out?
No. Okay.
Well, so I wouldn't wear those, but the Nike wrist with the split toe, I used to wear those. Yeah.
Really? The split toe?
Yeah, you get the split toe socks as well to go with it.
I mean, what the world's got mad flex, hasn't it? A split toe sock, a split toe shoe.
I used to wear them, yeah, the wrist.
Well, I'm sure Max Scott, being a really good journalist, would have asked Morgan Gibbs-White about his new kind of Birkenstock. So to hear all about his new shoes and his Birkenstocks, make sure you hear Max Scott's full interview with Morgan Gibbs-White on Breakfast tomorrow from 6 a.m. with Andy Goldstein, and also Forest legend Stuart Pearce as well. It's almost like we work these things out.
We do.
Not by accident, on purpose. There we go. Meanwhile, the Forest manager, Oliver Glasner, also joined Breakfast this morning. He discussed the Elliot Anderson transfer to Manchester City.
Was decided that he will leave, and I think that's what we have to accept. And we are not at the end of the food chain in football, so probably our best players will always have big offers, and then it is when. And at the end, if we decide that we sell a player, there are always two reasons. So number one is, or there could be two reasons, let's say it like this. So you need the money due to financial reasons. That was not the case here at Nottingham. Or the second part is that you believe that you can strengthen your team. But that doesn't mean just on this one position. I think it's not possible to get a better player right now than Elliot Anderson was for Nottingham Forest, but maybe we can add one or two more players on other positions where we can get better as a team, and that's what we try to do.
Nobody ever wants to lose their best players.
No.
But if you're going to lose one of your best players, £116 million feels like a fee where you
lose them
go,
for that.
You know what? We'll accept that and we'll invest that wisely.
Yeah, absolutely. Glasner's no slouch. He knows his way about the place. He knows what it's like.
He was at Palace, wasn't he?
Where players just get picked Look what happened with Eze. Look what happened with Mark Gahey. He put his foot down with that one, but eventually he did lose him. It's what happens, and he's spot on with what he says. Just make sure you reinvest the money, and it's an opportunity to kick on to something else.
Flex, you for many, many years with your own Man United channel have been on pre-season tours with United. You kind of know what it's like to go there.
Yeah.
And you also, I'm sure, with your own channel, are looking to get content, looking to get interviews of players.
Yeah.
I've got to say, it's pretty cool, isn't it, that talkSPORT are able to get this content with Max out there. I mean, Oliver Glasner there spoke.
Amazing. He's doing a bleep test with the team, mate.
Yeah.
That's the stuff.
Good luck with that, mate.
I don't envy him.
No.
I mean, great
good
opportunity
content though.
because he's a massive.
Content,
yeah, but to go and train with your team or do a bleep test with your team anyway at the minimum is amazing.
Is there one sort of pre-season tour memory of Man United that jumps out at you where you were like pinching yourself and thought, okay, this is pretty cool?
Looking back, it probably wasn't that significant now, but it was because he's gone.
Go on, who was it?
It was when Ruben Amorim got there. It was very early in the pre-season. It was one of the press conferences, and he was walking up to do pictures or do what he needed to do. And I don't know why, and I still don't know if he meant it or not. He was like, oh, yeah, I watch your show.
No.
I swear to God.
No wonder he got sacked.
Exactly.
Later, yeah.
And then
has that gag been done before?
Listen, I was very pro Ruben Amorim on the way in, like you're supposed to do.
Now this is why you backed him for 6 months later.
No, after Grimsby, that's when I was done, and I said what I need to
Grimsby,
say. Yeah, that was it. But no, he said that to me, and I was very surprised.
Yeah.
I still don't know. I was like, are you sure? Is it someone just looks at me?
I don't think he's making it up, though. It'd be a weird thing to make up.
But I don't think he's watching YouTube channels or watching. But then actually, he did say. What he did say was he was talking about.
You're not selling a show
after Spurs. Well, true. Won an SJA, mate.
Back yourself, mate.
After Spurs, we drew 1-1, and then he was doing his flash interviews, and he did say. To one of the talkSPORT, I think it was Sam at the time.
Yeah.
He was like, just tell Simon Jordan. I used to listen all the time for the language and stuff.
Yeah.
But Simon's too harsh. And
really?
Yeah, he did say that.
I'm fairly certain in one of his very early press conferences, he did say that he listens to talkSPORT, and I'm almost certain Arnie Slot said the same thing as well.
He did.
Which is quite like we know.
Massive.
We know talkSPORT's massive, but I still feel like when the best one was when Jurgen Klopp was in a press conference, and I think he was asked about Man United. I think you just lost at Brentford, that Brentford game, the 4-0, and was asked about Man United, and then he had a massive go at Gabby for slagging off Man United, which I don't know. I love the idea of Jurgen Klopp
defending us.
In his car somewhere, listening to Gabby, punching his. What's this Gabby about?
Gabby went to town with that as well.
Yeah,
that's what you want to see, though. You want to see healthy back and forth and banter. That's what we're here for.
If you want to hear some more healthy back and forth banter, Andy Goldstein, Stuart Pearce on Breakfast tomorrow from 6. And again, a reminder, Max Scott with Morgan Gibbs-White from 6 tomorrow morning on the talkSPORT Breakfast Show. Up next, we're talking all things Liverpool. Liverpool fans, you'll be happy to hear the talkSPORT understands. Bradley Barcola wants to join Liverpool. As reported on Tuesday, Liverpool readying an opening offer worth up to €100 million plus add-ons for the PSG star. That's according to talkSPORT's Alice Crook and Ben Jacobs. More next on the Transfer Insiders. We're on talkSPORT.
Thomas Tuchel, what he said, he's a key player for us, whether as a starter or as a substitute. The word substitute won't even be uttered around Virgil van Dijk. Imagine someone saying that to Virgil van Dijk, even at 40.
No, I think
be a substitute.
No. You're massively cherry picking.
I'm not saying. No. Sorry, they just played the clip. No. They just played the package, and it was Thomas Tuchel, the England manager, saying he's a key player for us, whether as a starter or a substitute.
This is appalling from you. This is the very definition. You know when Donald Trump's moaning about fake news, it's you.
Sorry, I just basically quoted what the England manager said.
Okay. How important is context? The reason that he spoke like that is because he was accused of taking an injured player to a tournament. So the reason that he said he's going to be a key player for us, whether he's a substitute or whether he's a starter, is because it was suggested that you shouldn't take a player who has had an injury-ravaged season.
Oh, no.
So therefore,
injury-ravaged career.
Injury-ravaged career, fine. But the reason that he was talking about being a substitute...
I feel bad here because you're about to make me bury John Stones, and I don't want to. I think John Stones is a fantastic human being, fantastic defender.
You're not going to bury him.
Maybe England's greatest defender... Maybe it's 50, 60.
Let's be honest. We've all found ourselves raging at a referee's decision at some stage. This feel familiar?
That is an absolutely shocking decision.
They've got a case in that it was a bad decision.
It's such a poor decision.
Yeah, I think he's just made a bad decision in that instance.
But what does it take to get to the very top of football refereeing? Every referee starts with their county FA. It's a simple training course and you can take it as soon as you hit your 14th birthday. Once you've done that, you have to go through at least 11 hours of face-to-face training. You'll then graduate as a Level 7 official, which means you can take charge of county-level games. But hold your horses, there's still a long way to go to get to the Premier League. Your next step is to spend a year each at Levels 6, 5 and 4. This covers the top of the amateur game. Only at Level 3 do you start doing Northern Counties or Isthmian League level games, for example. If you've done this all quickly, you can reach Level 2 and ref your first National League match after, I don't know, 6 years? After getting enough experience at that level, you can apply to be a referee in the EFL. There's an interview, people watching you do games, and then, if the EFL are happy, you'll be granted a Level 1 licence to ref in games in League 2 and above. Now, they don't just say on you go to the Premier League, you have to work your way up through the divisions. Only after years of hard work and refereeing on cold Tuesday nights in Stoke can you be considered to do matches in some of Europe's very best stadiums. Now, who was the youngest to reach the very top? It was actually Michael Oliver. He reffed his first Premier League match in 2010 at the tender age of just 25. So if you want to follow in his footsteps, crack on. It'll only take you roughly a decade, thousands of hours of work and an incredibly thick skin. In total, there are 37,000 registered referees across England, but the PGMOL has only deemed 21 good enough for the top flight. That means there's not even a 1 in 1,000 chance you'll even make it in. Obviously, referees can make mistakes, but when you think about it, having a go at them is kind of like slating a brain surgeon.
A very good evening. This is the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. It's Sam, Ellard and Flex with you until 10 o'clock this evening, bringing you all the latest transfer news, rumours and done deals. Some of your transfer headlines this Wednesday evening. talkSPORT understands Bradley Barcola wants to join Liverpool. As reported on Tuesday, Liverpool are readying an opening offer worth up to €100 million plus add-ons for the PSG star. Liverpool fans 03717 223344. Are you confident this deal gets done? Elsewhere, Real Madrid have opened initial talks with Man City
happy to sign Rodri. The Spanish midfielder has already made it clear he wants the move. And Danny Welbeck has been given permission to undergo his Chelsea medical, while Brentford have confirmed Sean Henderson has left after a mutual agreement was reached to terminate his contract. Transfer Insiders then on talkSPORT. Sam Ellard and Flex are with you until 10 o'clock this evening. We just heard there, didn't we, in the news, Gianni Infantino is talking again, Flex, his latest statement on the plans that he's given, or the news that he's given football associations until September 19th. To back his plan to sell off part of FIFA to private investors is part of a democratic process, a consultation process, and above all, it's an opportunity but not an obligation. And as I said, it kicks off the consultation process.
So he's basically
he
saying,
basically hasn't said
you don't have to do this.
Yeah, but what he hasn't said though is he hasn't basically talked exactly that.
100%.
Exactly that. He
No,
basically hasn't really said much, but there's no part of that which is him being like,
it's just trying to go against the whole dictator vibe. Maybe I'm not that. You're free to vote for this or not vote for this by this date. I'm just proposing this and letting you know that if you vote for this, this is what you will get. Trying to basically calm everything down and pacify, but the damage is already done with that type of proposal. Yeah. And I just really hope that the nations that it isn't just all about the money, and it's more difficult for the smaller nations. 100% understand that.
Yeah.
Dangling 40 million in front of them,
big money for
is a really cheap shot from Infantino, because he knows those nations are going to need it. But for the bigger nations, that's where they got to come together and make sure.
A bit like the big clubs did with the Super League. 100%.
It's
saying
very,
this isn't
very
happening. We're not doing this. Yeah.
Very similar vibe, and I hope that that's what we see, because all of a sudden people start cutting deals and people start getting money out of it and different types of things. All of a sudden we think that football was going to be saved by certain confederations and certain nations, and it doesn't happen. So we're about to find out who wants to actually stand up for the greater good of football. For the rightful owners of football, which is the people.
Which is the people and the football fans.
Absolutely.
Not private investors. Flex, well said. Let's talk a bit more on Liverpool, shall we? Obviously,
yes, let's.
When we told you about that news that Bradley Barcola wants that Liverpool move, I was a very happy Liverpool fan. What do you make more broadly then of where Liverpool are kind of at in this transfer window? And of course, it's a season coming up where Liverpool are under a new manager.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to do with Liverpool. I'm going to be deadly honest. This Barcola situation is a well-needed shiny new toy. He's a top player. I think it's like everything. It's way too much money though. I know he is a top talent, but for me, that the numbers around him,
it is,
mate. It is.
Right, but Flex, we're living.
What's it going to cost? 140.
No, so I think that's initially what PSG
That's what they
wanted.
want. Okay, fair play to Liverpool. Hopefully they get down from that.
I think they'll be down from that.
It's a lot of money, right?
But why is it a lot of money when you see Morgan Rogers go for 100?
That's what I'm saying. It all is. I'm saying it all is.
But in this current climate of transfer,
he's going to cost
high prices, if you like.
He's going to get it. I get that.
£100 million a player is a bit of quality. Yeah, it was like that's where we're at, Flex.
Listen, Liverpool need to pay it and get him in. That's what I will say. They need a player like that. They need more players as well. I'm looking at the centre-half position. I know you've got Jackets who's come in, but...
Who?
Jacket.
Oh, I'm going Jacquet.
Jacket.
I'm going Jacquet.
You're going Jacquet.
That's what I'm going
Hyacinth Bouquet.
Yeah, I
think
think
never
so.
Bucket. She was Hyacinth Bouquet.
I'm going Jacquet. I mean, it might be... Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going
He
Jacquet.
is French, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, he's come in.
Yeah.
But I still think you're light in that department. You've already spoken about the situation with Frimpong.
He was awful. He was really.
You'd like to think he can get better, but
replacing Trent last season was always going to be incredibly difficult. And maybe is it too early to write a player after one season? He was nowhere near good
exactly.
So, he was really average at everything.
There you go. So you need a centre half, you need a right back, you need a left winger, which Barcola is that. Sure. You need a right winger. There's a big hole there from Salah. You need a 6. So players.
I definitely right back, 100%. Yeah. Frimpong not good enough. Conor Bradley is out for a long. What's so funny?
The producer said they should take Trent back.
Yeah, I'd love that.
You wouldn't want him back? He should never go back. Too much disrespect shown to Trent.
I think the idea of Trent coming back to Liverpool feels maybe a little bit far fetched. That would be some story though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Dumfries is there. He might not play again.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine that as talkSPORT breaking news tomorrow morning. That Trent Alexander-Arnold coming back. If he's going to go to the way, Trent, it wouldn't surprise me. By the way,
you treated him on the way out,
he might go to Everton after all this.
Exactly, the way you treated him, I wouldn't blame him.
Shocking. New right back is needed. I think there's real hope with the club for Conor Bradley, but every time he seems to get himself in the team, he always seems to take one step forward and 2 steps back. So before Gomez went down injured in our first pre-season, I thought with Xhaka, Van Dijk, and let's not forget Leone as well, who we brought in last summer, and then in September in the Carabao Cup against Southampton, suffered a season-ending injury. He's coming back, and then with Joe Gomez as your 4th choice centre-back, given we need other areas strengthening, I thought the club would be okay with Xhaka, Van Dijk, Leone plus Joe Gomez. Another midfielder is an absolute must. The midfield last season, because Mo Salah was so poor last season, and because he's Mo Salah and he dropped off so much, he kind of got all of the headlines. And I understand why he was nowhere near good enough. Some of the midfielders last season, Flex, were absolutely.
But is there a room where that was just a bad season? Because Alexis McAllister put his Argentina shirt on and looked all right again.
I know. I hope he's going to get better. I think we need a natural number 6 to kind of come in and sit in front of that back 4.
I agree. It's not Hendo.
The last bet, who?
Endo, sorry.
Endo. I thought you said Hendo. I'm not having Hendo back either. No, Endo. No, so I think Graven Birch had to do the job there 2 seasons ago, and he kind of surprised a lot of people and how well he did. I think he got a little bit exposed last season, playing a little bit deeper as a 6. Alexis McAllister just seemed to forget how to run last season and get about the pitch. We had the strange situation where Dominic Szoboszlai, who was our best midfield player, ended up playing at right back and coming into midfield. And again, that was down to Arne Slot, almost just kind of game by game, trying to sort of throw players in positions and hope that it sticked. It didn't work. I think Graven Birch is a better player when he's allowed to play a little bit further forward, because I think one of his biggest strengths is a really good ball carrier. And I think getting the ball, receiving the ball further up the pitch is where I think he can be dangerous. I think a natural number 6 would be good. I kind of had Adam Wharton in my mind, but to be fair, we were talking before we came on air, and maybe a player like Manu Kone could actually be maybe a little bit of a better option. Kind of, Adam Wharton is really good in possession and really good with the ball in tight spaces, but I'm not sure if maybe from a defensive point of view, shielding that back 4, he maybe is good enough in that aspect of it. And he'll
got a lot of protection. It's hard to judge him in that respect because he's got a lot of protection at Palace.
He'll play alongside with Hughes or a Lerma or someone.
Yeah, and like him and Kamada got a lot of protection around them at Palace. So Liverpool need a lot. Listen, I know I can go a bit overboard because I don't like Liverpool because I'm a United fan, but mate, you're in trouble if you don't get the right players.
Everyone's in trouble. Yeah, well, no, but
players, I mean, right? We're talking about Liverpool. This is the Liverpool section. Liverpool, do you know what I mean? We're not talking about all the others. This is about you.
Sorry, producer Flex.
Yeah, you'll be in trouble if you don't get these players.
Oh, that's a fact. Yeah.
And also, yes, Iriola is an attractive manager, but this is a massive, massive step up. And all I've heard when it's Michael Carrick is, what's he going to do with more than 1 game a week?
Sure.
3 games a week. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? Iriola's stepping up a level. At Bournemouth, they didn't have that.
Yeah.
This is Liverpool. This isn't, like, with the greatest respect to Bournemouth, they're overachieving with what he's done to get them into Europe is unbelievable. That's not good enough at Liverpool. Liverpool want to get back to winning the title. Now, I'm not saying he can't do that, but there seems to be this lack of conversation or this immediate sort of trust that, yeah, he's just going to take to it like a duck. It's going to be absolutely fine. They haven't got the players they've needed. They've been stagnant in the market so far. Not time to panic because there's still time.
How do you know we've been stagnant in the market?
Well, no, I said so far.
I don't think we have been stagnant in the market.
With the players that you need to get.
I read a lot of James Pearce in The Athletic, and he's said over the last couple of weeks that Andoni Iraola wanted to come in and wanted a couple of weeks on the training pitch with the squad to kind of take his time to work out who he likes, who he doesn't like. And then from that position, he can go on and work out what we need and what we don't need. So I don't think it's a case of, FSG are just sat on their backside and gone, off you go, Andoni Iraola, we'll speak to you in a couple of weeks. I think there's a little bit of, give him a little bit of time on the training pitch. And of course, we still have got time, haven't we, between now and the end of the window to get stuff done.
I'm just saying it's a lot of players to get in.
There's a few,
which you could, listen, I'm not saying Liverpool won't do well, and I'm not saying that Liverpool won't get the players. I'm just saying, as it stands, there's still a lot of work to be done.
Sure. I also think that, as cliche as this sounds, I think Wirtz and Isak are going to feel, certainly Isak will feel like new signings come next season, because I think, again, Isak barely played last season. He missed pre-season. He wasn't fit.
New tactics. There's a lot. There's a lot got to change the way you play again. How are people going to take to that?
I think
there's a lot.
But I think we shouldn't forget about Isak though, because again,
he's still a top player.
He's one of the best strikers in the world.
But he's got to show it. He's got to kick into
but
gear
again,
now.
I think having a full pre-season under him is going to be massive.
Look good in the World Cup as well.
Yeah, he just looked sharp, didn't he? Yeah. And again, we spent obviously a lot of money on him last season, and he didn't have any impact last season at all. Some of it was his own fault, some of it was bad luck with that injury at Tottenham. But if this guy is going to show 50% of his ability at Newcastle, that is one of the best centre forwards in the league.
Not if he shows
Liverpool.
50%.
But Newcastle was pretty good, right?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. If he can get close to his best in Newcastle, we've got a world-class centre forward leading the line for us.
Hopefully not.
You don't see it. Should we just
hopefully he doesn't recapture his best
want to contribute much to this conversation?
I am. I'm just throwing shade. I am. No, I'm saying. Listen, Liverpool got some good players already. Some they do. But the jury, like you said, the jury's out on Florian Wirtz in the Premier League.
That's fair.
That's it. That is a fact. The jury is out. I don't know what he's going to be like this year.
But what I hope for him next season is I hope with Andoni Iraola there is going to be a better structure to get the best out of players like Florian
you'd like to think so.
It's not. Florian Wirtz had to take some accountability himself. And sometimes you watch him and you think he's trying to do a little bit too much. But again, I have sympathy for him in the sense of he was playing in 4 or 5 different positions every game last season under Arne Slot.
He just needs that stability.
That's just not ideal, is it? A young kid coming.
Listen, it's fantastic you've tied Szoboszlai down to a big contract. He was one of the shining lights.
And Alisson as well. There was
he's an excellent player. Is Alisson going to stay?
Yeah, I think we have to keep hold of Alisson because I think with Salah, Robertson, and Konate all leaving the same window, that's a lot of good players and experience leaving the dressing room. And again, no, he's out of contract next season, so it's never ideal sort of letting a player's contract go down. But I just think for 2 reasons,
you've got your money's worth out of him if there's no resale value.
Exactly that. I think for his experience leadership, we need to keep him, and also his ability as a goalkeeper as well. And I think Mamardashvili last season came in with I believe he came in last season with the long-term view of you're going to be on number one next season. He just wasn't good enough and I think safe enough last season. So I don't think the club would be confident on Mamardashvili being number one going into the new season.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. One thing I will say is I do get uncomfortable going for Liverpool too early because they do have this ability when you look at them and say, look, they haven't done this, they haven't done that. But listen,
who's coming higher next season? Liverpool or Man United? You mean that?
Yeah, you might not even get in the Champions League, mate. I'm being serious. You might.
Well, yeah, Liverpool come above Man United next season.
There's a big chance here that Iraola doesn't take to this. Big chance.
No, look, I think stylistically, I think they made the right appointment. I think his work at Bournemouth showed he's a really good coach.
Fans will really like his football as well.
For sure, but I think that's also right how he deals with the pressure. Losing 2 games in a row, you can lose 2 games in a row at Bournemouth, and it's not a story, right? But you lose 2 games in a row at Liverpool. Every single word you say in a press conference is going to be analysed.
Like when the pressure's ramped up,
and that is the unknown.
And it's a question Michael Carrick has to answer as well. I'm just firing it back the other way to keep it even playing field. Where's the scrutiny on Iraola?
No, well, he hasn't done anything yet. We haven't had a game yet, have we? Okay. So it's a bit harsh to put scrutiny on a man who's just doing pre-season.
No, just the question marks. That's all. I'm not seeing enough question marks.
I reckon if we lose a couple of games next season, I'm sure yourself and other people in the media will start putting scrutiny on him. This might be my favourite half an hour in all of my talkSPORT broadcasting career. We spent the first 15 minutes of 9 o'clock talking about Liverpool, and we've got some big breaking news in the world of cricket, which we're going to discuss next on the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT.
I'm curious, Oliver, after that initial discussion where you said you were leaving the club and then you did remarkably well, you became the most successful manager Palace have ever had, was there late on ever a discussion to try and keep you at the club?
No, I was very clear in my message, and I told the players before I announced it publicly. I told the players before, and I told them the same because many had concerns. Can we end the season successfully? And I told them, if they now drop the standard, I would really I would feel that I failed. Because this was always the message, don't do it for the manager, it just makes no sense. Do it for yourself, do it for the group, do it for the fans, do it for the club. And I think then winning the Conference League just showed that we created a different mindset, that we set different standards in the club.
It is Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. Sam, Ellard and Flex are with you until 10 o'clock this evening. It is day 6 of the Commonwealth Games. There's lots happening this evening in Glasgow, and talkSPORT's Georgie Heath has the latest.
Yeah, plenty going on over at the track and field. We've had bronze for Kevin Santos in the men's 100 metres T47, which has just concluded. And then we've also had the women's heptathlon. It was Kate O'Connor of Northern Ireland who came in gold medal, but silver going to England's Jade O'Dowda. So another impressive performance from an Englishwoman in a heptathlon. Then over in the weightlifting, silver to England's Marias Ngake. She set a games record in the snatch, but was just outdone by the Aussie, who was too good in the clean and jerk. In the netball, Wales were taken down by New Zealand 65-37. Australia now in action against South Africa. And then over in the boxing, Dimeji Shitu, the 80 kilograms men's into the semi-finals, and in the women's 70 kilograms, England Chantel Reid also through to the semi-finals. And then finally, Scotland's Stephen McKenzie taking bronze in the men's long jump.
Commonwealth Games update on talkSPORT with the BYD Dolphin Surf, City Smart, Ocean Cool, 100% electric fun.
For live commentary of the Commonwealth Games, you can cross over to talkSPORT 2 right now and join Natalie Sawyer and the team for all of the action. We turn our attention back to transfers at 9:30, but there is a big story in the world of cricket. Stephen Fleming is to be appointed the England new Test coach. It's a Daily Telegraph exclusive. The former New Zealand captain will take up the full-time role only after the Pakistan series. The former England bowler, the double Ashes winner, talkSPORT's very own Steve Harmison, is with us on talkSPORT. Evening, Harmy. How are you?
I'm very well, Sam. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you, Harmy. So after sort of weeks of speculation and chat, it looks like England have got their man, Stephen Fleming. Is this the right choice?
Yeah, for what's out there, I think it's a good choice. I think Stephen Fleming comes with huge leadership qualities. I think, you remember, he captains New Zealand, a nation, a sporting nation, which is obviously, we've just seen Ryan Fox in the Open. It's a huge sporting nation with 5 million people, with the All Blacks, and obviously their cricket team always punching above their weight. And Stephen Fleming was a young captain for New Zealand, and he captained a lot of very, very good sides. Went on to Chennai Super Kings, won multiple IPLs with them as a coach alongside MS Dhoni. So I think Rob Keys pulled off a coup there, where we're getting Stephen Fleming. There's a lot of talk about Andy Flower, a lot of talk about English possible coaches like Richard Dawson or Jonathan Trott. But I think for somebody like Stephen Fleming, who will marry up quite well with Brendan McCullum, because there's a big thing here with the white ball job. I don't think England could have gotten any better man than what they're getting in Fleming.
Harmy, he spent a long time at the Chennai Super Kings in the IPL, so hasn't been too involved in red ball cricket for a long period of time. I mean, should that be a concern for England fans? Obviously, I know he's played Test cricket. You mentioned there he was obviously with New Zealand, captain New Zealand for a long period of time. He's had a lot of time away from Test match cricket. Should that be an issue?
No, I don't think so. I think when you look at leadership qualities, it's managing egos, especially at international level, especially at franchise level. I look at Stephen Fleming, he's a very, very calm and influence. I think he's somebody who I think will be very, very thorough. And if you listen to the likes of Nasser Hussain keep talking on about attention to detail and why Brendan McCullum's not Test coach anymore because of the Ashes debacle, Stephen Fleming, he seems a little bit more of a calmer character. I don't think there's any issue with him not being in the red ball game for a long period of time. The modern day coach, the modern day cricket team is about managing egos and making sure that you're ready for any given scenario at any given time and any given day, because the game moves very, very quickly, even at test match level, that I'm sure the knowledge of leadership and how to manage a dressing room is what is required right now for this England cricket team. Remember, we are 7th in the World Test Championship rankings at the moment. We've got a very, very good, I think, pool of international players who aren't playing to the level that they should be playing to. And I think just some clarity of thought, some proper planning and preparation ready for what is going to be a big 12 months. I think Fleming will be, I think he's the right man for the job. What's out there? Let's be fair. England needs somebody who can work with Brendan McCullum. The elephant in the room is Brendan McCullum has been sacked by one job and he's still got another job. I think that's what put Andy Flower off when Andy Flower was talked about from a job point of view. And Andy Flower's done the job before, so he knows English cricket. I think what you have to have is somebody that can work with Brendan McCullum, because there's a hell of a lot of crossover between white ball players and red ball players. And it's important that England get it right when the players are coming from sort of either way. So I think Fleming's leadership and McCullum's respect for Fleming will work very, very well. I'm not having a go at Brendan McCullum there. This is just the reality of the beast. Brendan McCullum is still within English cricket. And unfortunately for whoever comes in, he's got to work with a coach who has just been sacked from that role.
From Bazball, we're not going to call it Flemball, are we, Harmy? That just sounds a little bit wrong, doesn't it?
No, I don't. To be fair, no.
Should we forget this name, this whole ball thing, and just forget about that?
I've shared a few rooms with you, Sam, and Flemball. No, I don't think that. I would not like. No, I don't think we should be going down that road. But look, I think it will be. I think what I hope when I look at this appointment, I mentioned about the attention to detail. I meant preparation and getting everything, all the sort of ducks in the right order going into each and every series. I think now with Marcus North as chairman of selectors, with Stephen Fleming, a very, very well-respected coach and a very, very strong leader when he played, and a calm and influence on somebody like Brendan McCullum, who's a bit more of a maverick. Rob Key's a bit more of a maverick. And all of a sudden, you've got one on either side. And I think all four guys respect each other. And I think this dynamic, hopefully, will take England forward. Because at the end of the day, coach, as we all know in football, because talkSPORT's a football show and a football channel, you're only as good as your players. Brendan McCullum got sacked because his players didn't perform in the Ashes. And I think there was a lot of other things to go with it from a preparation point of view. So I think it's important that Fleming gets what he needs to get the preparation right for the Ashes, because that's what it's all about, the Ashes. When he goes to South Africa, he comes back, goes to Bangladesh, and then gets everything right for the Ashes. I think all four men singing off the same hymn sheet. I think Fleming, the respect that Fleming will have from McCullum, I think will work.
One of the big decisions that Fleming and Rob Key and co are going to have to make over the next couple. Well, I mean, I'm not sure if there would be an interim test captain for the Pakistan series, and then when Fleming comes in, he would appoint his own captain. Not sure how that's going to work, but I guess my question to you, Harmy, is who is going to be the next England test captain? It feels like it's only Root or Brooke are the only two options.
I think it's Root. I mean, as much as I think Harry is evolving into a very, very good leader, and what I mean by this decision making has been very good over the course of this last one-day series. I thought his decision making in Sri Lanka was very, very good going into India as a leader. But I think baby steps from Harry's point of view, because we've got to make sure that we keep the stellar batsman. I think you go with Root. I've listened to great friend of talkSPORT, Mark Butcher, on his podcast, and he talks about Root being nowhere near the job and talking about the numbers that Root had, wins and losses and draws and stuff like that. And I get what Butcher's saying, but I mean, we were in the West Indies, weren't we? And we seen Joe Root right at the very end 4.5 years ago, Sam. And
he looked a broken man, didn't he, Harmy?
He did look a broken man, but if you look at it, and no disrespect to Matt Fisher, Craig Overton and Saqib Mahmood, that was his bowling attack.
Yeah, it's almost like they should have picked those two guys called Jim Anderson and Stuart Broad for that tour. They're pretty useful with the ball, aren't they?
that didn't help, did it? Did it? So when you come of it, you don't think Joe was helped by Ed Smith and one or two others at the time. He didn't have Jofra Archer, Gus Atkinson, Biden Cars, Josh Tongue. He didn't have that at his disposal. So I think Joe might turn around to Butch and say, just judge me when I've got a bowling attack as opposed to playing on a featherbed, flat one in the Caribbean. With 378-mile-an-hour bowlers. I'm not really sure what a captain can do with that. So I go with Root, stick with him throughout this short-term period. And you know what? I actually think a Root-Fleming combination could be a very, very good one for English cricket.
Sounds good to me. It's a confirmation there. Stephen Fleming set to be appointed England's new Test head coach. Harmy, this is the Transfer Insiders from England to Newcastle. Were Newcastle going to have any players come first game of the season against... We've just got some news coming into us, Harmy. Newcastle are actually contemplating bringing you in or an emergency loan for the upcoming season to play at centre-back. I mean, it's, desperate times calls for desperate measures, my friend.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about how bad the kit is and the stripes on the shirt. They'll be a lot wider if the
Also, you've got bigger things to worry about than the stripes on your shirt at this moment in time, Harmy.
Absolutely. I was just thinking about getting a Euro replica shirt, but them stripes would look a little bit bigger as well. But, I know. But listen, I mean, Newcastle, they've had a bad night again at Bristol City. The big day is Friday when Bruno comes back or he doesn't come back. I don't think he would disrespect the club to not come back like Alexander Isak did. I think until Bruno says, I want to leave Newcastle United, then I'll believe that he's leaving. If he goes, fair enough, he goes. Newcastle will move on. Newcastle have had bigger players than Bruno Guimaraes. They've had bigger players than Alexander Isak. They've got money in. They've got to spend it wisely. What they have to do is not do what they did last year. Was the only two questionable bad transfer market moves were when they were backs against the wall last year when the Wissa and Woltemade.
Yeah, sure.
Everything since then, they've doubled their money on Gordon, double their money on Isak, double their money on Tonali. If they get 85 million plus, they'll have doubled their money on Guimaraes. And now it's just going back through that process again and making sure that they do their due diligence right, get players in, and give Eddie Howe a chance to develop these players. Eddie Howe has proven over 4.5 years that if you have a Saturday to Saturday game, he can get a team set up to play against anybody in the country or anybody in Europe. And hopefully in that time, because we've got no distraction of Europe, then Eddie can turn what is at the club at this moment in time and potentially coming in into a very, very competent and a side that will qualify hopefully for Europe. I've got full faith in Eddie Howe. I think he could water.
But for Harmy, is that an opinion shared up north? Because I thought maybe towards the end of the season, I don't think anyone could doubt the great job he's done over those 4.5 years. But it was a bad season last year. Are there some Newcastle fans that are maybe on the fence as to whether he's the right man to take you guys forward? And if that's the case, it feels like he's got to get off to a good start next season. All that pressure is just going to ramp up, isn't it?
Now, good luck with following Eddie Howe.
Sure,
I look at it and think inside the stadium, Eddie Howe had a lot of people backing him. I think we haven't got much time, Sam, because I can go into a hell of a lot. We give 10,000 tickets away at the end of Mike Ashley. Sure. We didn't have all them fans are new fans coming in. And inside the stadium, I think Eddie Howe's got a lot of backing. I think what we've had is over the course of the last 3 or 4 years and the successive Champions League qualifications, we've had a lot of social media fans and YouTubers coming in to make some noise who weren't there right from all the way through the bad day. So the bad day supporter is backing Eddie Howe. I think the new social media noise, I think it doesn't matter if it was Eddie Howe, Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho, or whatever. They would have had a go at the manager because the results weren't good enough. That's fine. But I think in development of players, I wouldn't want too many other managers to develop a group of players like Eddie Howe's done over the course of the last 4 years, because he's going to have to rebuild again, like he did 4 years ago to turn Newcastle into 2 years Champions League and won a first trophy in 70 years.
Play that in the dressing room before the first game of the season. A passionate Steve Harmison. Harmy, thanks so much for joining us. I'll hopefully see you 19th of August, Pakistan at home, first day of the Test series against them.
I look forward to it. See you, Sam.
Good man. That is talkSPORT's Steve Harmison, double Ashes winner, and of course passionate Newcastle fans. Confirmation then of the big news this evening in the world of cricket. Stephen Fleming set to be appointed England's new Test head coach. For more fallout, go over to the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. You've got How's That for a Pod? You've also got the Following On Cricket podcast. Lots of cricket content for you to get your teeth stuck into on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. This is the Transfer Insiders. We're on talkSPORT.
It has gone crazy, but I think that you almost have to just suspend your reality.
And not the worst things about this crazy spending. How many in the history of the Premier League have actually landed?
No, that's true.
One.
I would say of
Virgil
the most
van Dijk. One
of the most expensive players in the Premier League. Like Romelu Lukaku is on that list twice.
Yeah.
And he failed twice. Paul Pogba is on that list.
Yeah.
Failed.
Harry Maguire's not failed, but
yeah.
he's not,
I mean, Andrei Shevchenko at one point would have been on that list. Failed. Fernando Torres at one point would have been on that list. Failed.
Yeah.
There are countless examples of players who have moved for huge amounts of money, come with that level of expectation.
Declan Rice has lived up to it.
Declan Rice has most certainly lived
still
up to
too much, but he's lived up to it.
Well, Declan Rice is actually an interesting one because I would argue that if there is a £100 million player, Declan Rice is it. Declan Rice.
That's
I think Declan Rice has. Well, if you look at what Declan Rice has done since he's been at Arsenal, he won European silverware, uninspiring European silverware in my opinion, but he won European silverware at West Ham. He then went to Arsenal and was the catalyst to them ending a 20-year Premier League trophy drought. So yeah, I think if anybody is worth, he's been a stalwart.
When you think about famous F1 circuits, the likes of Silverstone, Monza, Monaco come to mind. One of these is not like the others though. Monaco is just one of a number of street circuits on the calendar, and that number's only set to rise. There's a clear difference between a traditional circuit and a street circuit. One is a purpose-built facility on private land, the other is, as it sounds, a race through the streets of a major city. Monaco is the famous example, twisting and turning through the streets of the Principality with iconic backgrounds and, let's be honest, not a lot of overtaking. But from 2026, there'll be a record 10 street circuits on the
This is the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. I'm Sam Ellard. Flex alongside me. This is your whistle-stop tour of the biggest transfer news of the day. talkSPORT understands that PSG winger Bradley Barcola wants to join Liverpool. We'll also get the latest on Rodri's potential move to Real Madrid, what that means for Tchouaméni, and if Vinicius Jr. wants to join Arsenal or not. This is the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. So let's start with talkSPORT's exclusive story that PSG's Bradley Barcola wants to join Liverpool. We understand that Liverpool are readying an offer worth up to €100 million. Barcola has got 2 years left on his PSG contract, and it's understood he does not want to sign a new deal. So with all of that information, Flex, Liverpool want the player wants Liverpool. He's only got 2 years left on his deal and has told PSG he doesn't want to sign a new contract. So from PSG's point of view, you got a great talent there. Contract coming towards an end, doesn't want a new one. Everything to me says that both clubs meet a price and it gets done and it suits all parties.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, it literally suits both clubs for this deal to happen. PSG are going to get a lot of money for this young kid, and listen, he's a fantastic talent. There's no denying that. You can't call him world class yet, but he's got some world class tendencies. That's for sure.
He's got the potential.
When you see him, absolutely. When you look at the
raw
ceiling,
pace,
he's got
raw pace and power.
He's quick. He's direct. He can go both ways. Now, don't get me wrong. The finishing aspect and the final action still needs work, but what youngster doesn't need that? He's still very early in his career in that young PSG side at the top end of the pitch, along with Doué. So I think for Liverpool, it's very exciting to get this over the line. I think they need to get this over the line. They need to start getting their skates on. There's still time in the market, but this makes a lot of sense. They need to replace so much at the top end of the pitch. You know, the hole that Salah fills, and I know he isn't a right winger, but you just need top attackers, mate. You need top. And on the left-hand side, I think Cody Gakpo's been underwhelming and frustrating.
It was really poor last season.
Rio Ngamoa's got a fantastic pathway and looks incredible. I've really, really liked Rio Ngamoa. I don't think there's anybody in football who's watched him and isn't excited by him. He looks exceptional, but you don't want to heap that sort of pressure onto him. So if you get Bradley Barcola through the door and you've still got young Rio Ngamoa there to progress, that's a top signing and a top pathway where you've got two really good young talents. So yeah, I think that's a very good move for him.
And I think with Barcola and obviously Isak and Wirtz having, hopefully better seasons next season, the young kid Rio Ngamoa, Cody Gakpo also as another option. I think that it looks like Liverpool have got sort of their attacking options, I think in a pretty healthy place there, and now maybe will turn their attention to a number 6, possibly a new right back as well.
Liverpool.
Yeah, for sure.
They can't get escape.
It's almost just testament to how bad the window was for the last season, that so much money was spent, and we kind of had that Liverpool.
Do you think maybe they don't? Do you think maybe they don't go for all these players that we think Liverpool need? Like you said, Iriola, he wants to feel things back. Do you think maybe he looks at it and goes, listen, I'll get the best out of McAllister. I'll get the best that he back himself and say, we go big on Barcola, we'll get one more in, but I'm all right with this.
It would be an awful mistake not to sign another midfield player. I think that midfield, I know that midfield really, really struggled last season. McAllister's legs went. Ryan Gravenberch really struggled, playing a little bit deeper. Dominic Szoboszlai. Curtis Jones had a strange... It's interesting to mention Curtis Jones, actually, because he had a strange season where it almost looked like the managers just didn't fancy him. I don't know whether they had a falling out, but there was a time where Gravenberch and McAllister were really struggling, and yet Curtis Jones just never seemed to really play. He's been a player that's been at the club for a long period of time. There's no doubt he's got lots of ability, but whether it was Slot or even Klopp, none of the two managers has really been like, you're our man, you're going to play week in, week out. Throughout his whole time at Liverpool, he's kind of been a bit part player in and out of the team. So I'd be interesting to see how the manager views him, because he has been linked with the move to Inter Milan.
Yeah, it hasn't quite materialised yet. But
it'll be because, it almost just feels like he's coming. Is he coming to a point in his career now where he's been Liverpool for a long time? He's a boyhood academy player. I think every Liverpool fan would want to keep him. The scouts are in the team. But will he come to a point where he's like, I'm either going to play or I need to move for my own good? Even if it is take a step down, I'm at a stage now in my life, in my career, where I need to play week in, week out.
Yeah, I think so. And that's where he's at. That's where he's at, to be honest with you. It's all for Iriola to knit together. He's new in the role. He's learning what it's like to be at that level. But he does possess a lot of tools, coaching-wise and inspiration-wise, where the players, I think, would take to him. The fans will definitely take to his style of football. It's just whether he can transmit those instructions to get that output out of the players, so that Liverpool fans start to have a team that they're proud of. Because I have to say, after Arne Slot, or during Arne Slot, last season, it was just so anti-Liverpool. I enjoyed watching it, but it really was. Yeah, hate watching from the sides. I mean, that away game against PSG, I always look at that, the way you went there, you went to a back 5, and I was just like, that's...
He basically, up until that point, had tried almost every other formation that just didn't work, and he thought, okay, the one thing I haven't done is gone to a back 5, and yeah, that was messy. Elsewhere, talkSPORT understands Real Madrid have opened talks with Manchester City over signing Rodri. Let's hear from talkSPORT's football correspondent Ben Jacobs on the Rodri situation and where Man City should focus if he does leave.
I think Berardi is the one to watch. Sign him now, 100 million euros. That's the starting point anyway. Pre-agree or loan back to Lille because they want to keep him for another season. It could drop to about 80 million euros. But City, if Rodri goes, will obviously need another midfielder. Even if Rodri was to stay, Manchester City are still hoping to try and make another reinforcement in the centre of the park. And then the thing in the last 24 hours that's moved is Manchester City now have received official confirmation from Real Madrid they want to begin talks, and the clubs are in dialogue. At the time we're live, no bid yet. Sources in Spain say that Real Madrid are prepared to pay over 50 million euros, so 40 million or more. Manchester City's valuation, I can tell you, will be higher. And that's the point, coming back to Barcola. You can look at contract length, but Jan-Paul van Hecke went to Tottenham with a year left on his deal for 52 million. So even though they're different positions, Man City probably looking at that deal and saying, if Jan-Paul van Hecke is 60 million euros, then a Ballon d'Or winner and the best player at the World Cup
seems fair.
Should be much closer to 100 million euros. And this is the politics and the game of the negotiation. And in an inflated market, City's plan A, keep Rodri under all costs, either renew or just stay. But the plan B will be, if he is to get a move away because the player really wants to leave, suddenly they've got to be able to cash in and maybe offset that departure financially by generating enough money to get the Buadi deal over the line.
Yeah, so look, again, I think it's sort of known, I think, for the last few weeks with that, year left on his contract, this was a move that was going to happen. But it's interesting using the price of what Spurs paid for Van Heck 1 year left on his deal, because sometimes when, like, a player's got a year left on his deal, you're like, oh, you won't get any, you send it for nothing. But, like, you're right, City could still be like, okay, he's got 1 year left on his deal. We appreciate that. So he might not cost £150 million. Yeah. But, like, we're still going to get a pretty good fee for a Ballon d'Or winner and 100%. One of Spain's best players.
It's not exactly the same, but let's say Vinicius Jr. left Real Madrid with 1 year left in his deal. Even he's a lot younger, but there's going to be a lot of money still. Just because there's a year left, you can't get a really snippet of the price. Yeah. And I think it's a similar principle, not exactly the same because of the age, but it's a similar principle with Rodri. Exactly. This is the guy who's won the Ballon d'Or very recently. He's just got back to his best after a bad knee injury where it seemed like maybe he wouldn't get back to his best. Maybe his best days are behind him. But now you're looking at it going, he's still a top player. Still a top player. So Real Madrid are absolutely, Manchester City are absolutely entitled to be like, this is a multiple Premier League winner. He's a Champions League winner. He's, best player at the World Cup, Ballon d'Or winner. Yes, there's 1 year left on his deal, but you're Real Madrid. And we're looking at the business that's been going on. And that Van Heck one is a really interesting one because 1 year left on his deal and still went for 50 odd million from Brighton. So if you're Man City, they don't miss a trick and they certainly don't get bullied in the market. So
there has been some talk if Rodri goes into Madrid about Aurelien Tchouameni and what next for him. We believe he's agreed a new deal with Real Madrid, but maybe could that change if, could he be sold if Rodri comes in with the Man United hat on? Obviously, there's Tchouameni at Real Madrid, there's Camavinga at Real Madrid. You're sort of hoping one of these players
give me one
the door and says, hey, Rodri's coming.
Don't need all of them. Don't gatekeep Real Madrid.
You don't need that.
You don't need that much. You got Valverde, you got Bernardo Silva now. Bernardo Silva and Rodri were playing in the pivot for Man City last year, and I know they didn't quite catch Arsenal, but they were winning a lot of games with them too. And like I said, Valverde's an absolute machine, isn't he? And you don't need Camavinga and Tchouameni. Who am I to tell them who they need? But it is very interesting from a Manchester United perspective. I think it's a little bit of a far-fetched one with the Tchouameni one, if I'm honest. But I just need Rodri to land there in Madrid, let that deal go through, and then start having a look because
Tchouameni sees Rodri in training things.
Well, yeah.
Oh no,
exactly. And is he told? So things change very, very quickly. If he has signed this deal, which it has been reported, I think by the Athletic as well, and a lot of other journalists are sort of claiming that Tchouameni has signed this new deal. It'll be very interesting to see how Rodri signing changes that, if at all. Literally just signed a deal. So depending on who you talk to, he has or he hasn't. I don't really care. If there's a chance for Manchester United to be able to get him, you bring him. And Camavinga, I really do like Camavinga. Can play a couple of positions as well. Very combative, very quick, very, very intense. Can get about. He's exactly the type of profile. Sure. I do just worry about the injuries that he's had at such a young age, 23 years of age.
An
awful lot of injuries. But sometimes with the right management and just a fresh set of surroundings, it can be done. But I do think those two are quite far away to be able to get. But if it arises where Manchester United got an opportunity to get either of those two, you have to do everything you can.
So the big two transfer stories of the day is that talkSPORT exclusively understands that PSG's Bradley Barcola wants to join Liverpool. Liverpool readying an offer worth up to €100 million. And talkSPORT understands Real Madrid have open talks with Man City over signing Rodri. This is the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. Coming up next, we'll get all the latest about Vinicius Jr. and possibly coming to the Premier League.
It is the Transfer Insiders on talkSPORT. I'm Sam Ellard. Flex is alongside me. Let's now turn our attention to Vinicius Junior. He's been trapped by Arsenal as he's got just a year left on his deal at Real Madrid. But the Spanish Giants do want to get him to sign a new contract. The Athletic's Mario Cortellena gave us the latest.
There were a lot of rumors about, especially Premier League clubs, keeping a close eye to Vinicius Junior's situation, but it was surprising. And the truth is that it's everything open. Arsenal are exploring the deal. They would like to be in a good position to try if Vinicius doesn't extend with Real Madrid. Obviously, Real Madrid's priority and Vinicius' priority is the renewal, but the truth is that they started to speak about that in January 2025, and more than 1 year and a half after that, there is no agreement. Someone should give up some money or should do something to change that. We could expect some talks in the short term, because it's getting weird. I would say weird because Real Madrid want to extend him and Vinicius wants to stay. So they should do something about that. And Arsenal are doing a good job to try to be in a good position if he doesn't extend.
So there we go from Mario. No to Vinicius Junior joining Arsenal. We know that Arsenal will be signing Morgan Rogers, unless Arsenal do something pretty crazy. It looks like Bradley Barcola, as we report, he wants to go to Liverpool. Diamonde is going to Real Madrid. Left wing was the clear and obvious position that Arsenal needed to strengthen on the back of winning the league with, Martinelli and Trossard. This feels like there's not that many left wingers, or certainly top level left wingers, out there for Arsenal to sign.
It's a tough market, the winger market, in terms of genuine quality. Of course, that is Vinicius Junior. So they would definitely be looking for a superstar player in that position. In terms of Arsenal getting Vinicius Junior, it depends. If you're an Arsenal fan, like all of the hysteria that's been going on and all of the noise that's been going on, it depends how far you allowed yourself to get with the initial reporting that Arsenal were looking at this deal. Because I think Mario, has touched on it really well there in terms of they want to be there should he not sign a deal. Arsenal haven't put in a bid and Vinny's turned them down.
No,
or,
sure.
That's not the story. It's just the fact that actually this interest is real from Arsenal. It's concrete from Arsenal, and it's great intent. Should Vinicius Junior not renegotiate to stay at Real Madrid?
I think with Jose Mourinho coming in as well, and obviously, there was the incident last season when Jose Mourinho was at Benfica and Vinicius Junior was playing against Benfica, and the racial allegation that the Vinicius Junior made, and kind of Jose Mourinho backing his play. I think a lot of people maybe thought that the Vinicius Junior wouldn't want to play under Jose Mourinho. Maybe he'd want a new challenge.
Yeah,
so I kind of think maybe that's where Arsenal. Actually, I think most Arsenal fans I spoke to kind of got excited when hearing the story, wow, but also appreciated there was so much more to go from just Arsenal interim. Arsenal.
It's more social media that makes it.
I mean, I'm literally as you're talking, googling left wingers that are sort of out there and available, and obviously
Rafael Leao.
Rafael. And obviously we know that the best one is Kvaratskhelia, but Arsenal aren't going to be able to get him. There really isn't, in terms of kind of proven top class left wingers that are out there that Arsenal could sign. It'll be interesting to see what Arsenal look to do next.
Market. They might have to unearth a gem or go for someone a little bit more left field, etc. But Arsenal have got their targets. They're not rushing into anything. They're in a good position in terms of they're just sprinkling. They're just trying to find, players who can just up the level. Because when you are Premier League champions like Arsenal, and you've got such a settled squad, such a settled way of doing things, you don't want to upset the apple cart, but you also don't want to stay stagnant. So they need to be in the market for that. Honestly, man, this Rashford situation, I don't want to see him go there as a Manchester United fan, but I don't know I just got a feeling it could get late, and all of a sudden there could be a little pivot towards that.
Really?
I don't know why I feel it. Don't like the feeling, and I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, if it feels like he's obviously wasn't their first.
No,
choice,
but
they might think,
what do? You have to keep pivoting to A, B, C, and D, right?
All Chelsea's fault, isn't it? The £116 million bid for Morgan
market, mate.
Just, literally. Yeah. So not looking too positive then for Arsenal's hopes on Vinicius Junior. What about though Bruno Guimaraes? Let's hear from Clive Palmer now from the Arsenal Vision podcast. He gave us his thoughts about Arsenal moving for Bruno Guimaraes.
Yeah, I think it's really it indicates what we're trying to do. Obviously, everyone wants to get better, don't they? But it's the sort of thing that Manchester United used to do, Flex. Remember when you got Van Persie at 28, 29?
Yeah, exactly.
You just got him. right? You didn't mess about. We want to win the league. Go and get the best forward. We pay the money. You wouldn't think about resale. You'll think about building on what you were doing. And I think this is one of those type of signings. And I'll be honest with you, I'm always honest. I don't always feel comfortable buying players of that age, of that number. But our goals and requirements have changed since we've actually won. And I have to accept that we're trying to be the best team, not only in the league, in a very competitive league, but trying to be the best team in Europe. And to do that, maybe buying 18-year-old centre mids is not the way to go. You're going to have to buy people who are ready.
Yeah.
And he's ready, right?
I mean, he's 28, by the way. Like,
not pensioner.
28 is not 30. He's not 38, whereas, like, you know, he's literally crawling towards the end of his career. I mean, Clive said there, would he improve the Arsenal midfield?
Absolutely.
I'd say yes.
Absolutely.
I think Bruno Guimaraes showed at Arsenal that in possession, out of possession, he's top class. He's an absolute warrior. He's a fighter. He's aggressive, but also really, really good, you know, in possession. You know, we see that Declan Rice might miss the start of the season, playing a lot of football. You know, Martin Odegaard at Arsenal's form has dipped, hasn't it, over the last year or 18 months. So with Rice, Subamende, I think Bruno Guimaraes complements that midfield three
100%.
really, really nicely flexed.
He is the perfect signing for Arsenal. The perfect player, the perfect character, the perfect temperament. He's got, ironically, he's wound a lot of Arsenal fans up when they've played against him.
Yeah.
He's
that type of player, though, isn't he?
Oh,
He's in your
he
face,
gets
he's
after
aggressive.
people. Exactly, gets after people. He's that player that you want on your team, but you don't always enjoy playing against him. That's the hallmark of a really good teammate to have in your corner. And he can play. You know, he can play forward. He can score goals. He can create goals. He's a little bit multifaceted. He can do a little bit of everything at a really, really good level. So I think Arsenal need to just pay the money now. Just get this done. And this, like you said, he's 28 years of age. He could easily be at Arsenal for the next 3 to 4 years, playing at a really, really high level, and some, if you really want, and a little bit of sell-on value as well.
And just elsewhere in the world of transfers, Danny Welbeck given permission to undergo his Chelsea medical agreement in place with Brighton for an undisclosed fee. It's going to be a 2-year contract. Nottingham Forest in advanced talks for Ousmane Diamonde. Confidence on all sides. An agreement can be reached in the coming days. He's viewed as a key target for Oliver Glasner, and talks have progressed in recent days. Glasner, a huge admirer, wanted to try and sign him when he was at Crystal Palace. And Junior Krupi expected to be out for 3 to 4 months with foot injury suffered in pre-season training. The 20-year-old Bournemouth forward flew back from Austria, underwent successful surgery today. I mentioned that in this transfer because there has been some sort maybe of Spurs coming in for him, has been in with other Premier League clubs, but I think, you know, given his age, 20 years of age, Flex, I think it wouldn't be a bad thing for him to have one more season at Bournemouth, playing week in, week out, because we saw last season, didn't we, what a special talent he is.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player, and that injury coming at that moment is a real sickener. You know, he was on a great run. I mean, look, you don't want players getting injured, obviously, but it takes away the fact now that the transfer speculation will obviously end now. But he's going places. I mean, he's under 21 international for France. It's scary, the production line that they've got. He scored 13 Premier League goals last year, and some of the finishes, mate, some of the goals he was scoring were out of this world.
This has been the Transfer Insiders. The show is back live tomorrow on radio, YouTube, Smart TV and the talkSPORT app at 7 p.m. tomorrow. And you can catch the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Acast, or wherever you get your podcasts. Flex, thank you so much for your company over the last 3 hours. You'll be back on Transfer Insiders tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Absolutely. Coming up next on talkSPORT, it's the Sports Bar with Jamie O'Hara and Dean Saunders.
Well, this is probably one that Darryl would be more interested in because it concerns his beloved Liverpool.
Don't sign him. Don't sign him.
You don't want him?
No, not for that kind of money, no. We need a central defender. We need another midfielder. Yes, we need a winger. They spent 100-odd million on him. They're not going to do any more. And we need a right back. I just think, I look at his figures and I look at where he is and whatever else. No, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. No.
Wow. See, I think he'd be a great addition to the Premier League. But in terms of the figures, obviously PSG were touting over the weekend. They wanted 145 million. I think the opening bid from Liverpool is going to be a lot less than that, maybe nearer the 80 to 100 million pound mark with add-ons. Will that be enough to persuade them to do business? Who knows? But Barker isn't signing a new contract as it stands, so PSG not necessarily in a strong position.
Why do you think he'll be a serious asset in the